Good morning, my dear friend. The world is still quiet, the horizon barely touched by light. The air feels pure, almost sacred, as if heaven itself leans closer to listen. This is the hour before the rush of the day, before messages and noise, when your heartbeat is the only sound echoing inside your chest. If you pause long enough, you can sense it, the hush between night and morning, where peace begins to speak. Perhaps you woke up today not because you were rested, but because sleep refused to come. Your mind replayed yesterday's worries like an old song that will not stop. You might have opened your eyes, still carrying the weight of news that broke your heart, the phone call that never came, the ache that medicine cannot reach. Maybe someone you love has drifted away, or a dream you have built for years collapsed quietly, leaving only silence where your plans once stood. In that silence, fear whispers that nothing will ever be whole again. But the dawn is not only a change of color in the sky. It is a message. The same God who paints the horizon anew each morning is also willing to begin again inside you. The darkness you feel is not the end, it is the soil where faith begins to grow. When everything else has failed, when words run out, when strength slips through your fingers, that is where prayer starts. Not polished or perfect, but real. It is the cry that says, I can tea, but you can. There is something holy about this early hour. The earth exhales, the birds begin to test their first songs, and heaven seems to open a narrow window where human hearts and divine mercy meet. It is not the hour for noise, but for listening. Not the time to impress, but to surrender. Each whisper you release in this quiet has weight in eternity, and even if your voice trembles, it is heard. Faith is not the absence of struggle, it is the decision to reach upward while still trembling. It is believing that light will return even before you see the first ray. Prayer is not a ritual. It is a lifeline, a conversation that rescues the soul from drowning in its own fear. As you sit in this stillness, know that you are not forgotten, not invisible, not too late to begin again. The one who shaped the stars is awake, waiting for your first word. So before the world begins to move, take this moment to breathe deeply. Let your heart unclench. Let hope, however fragile, rise again. There is a door opening in this dawn, and it leads into a place where strength replaces exhaustion, where peace wraps itself around grief, and where you are reminded that your story is not over. Come, step into this sacred hour. Lay down your burdens, even if you have to do it trembling. Open your heart and let your soul speak freely. The light is already rising, and the one who made it is waiting to walk with you through this new day. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I wake before the sun, sitting in the quiet shadows of my own thoughts, unsure how to begin except by being honest. My heart feels tired, my mind restless, and my soul a little afraid. There are moments when life feels too heavy to carry, when the silence between prayers stretches longer than I can bear. Yet here I am again, breathing in the still air of dawn, hoping you will meet me where I am. I do not have perfect words. I only have this small, trembling desire to be near you before the noise of the day begins. I admit that lately I have been walking in circles, pretending I am strong while inside I crumble at the smallest wind. I have tried to handle everything on my own, to reason my way through pain, to hide my weakness behind polite smiles. But in the dark hours of the night, I can no longer hide the truth from myself or from you. I am human, fragile, and easily frightened. I fear losing what I love. I fear disappointing people. I fear the unknown tomorrow. Yet somewhere deep within, there is a softer voice telling me to stop running, simply rest in you. You know the thoughts I cannot say out loud. You know the hidden corners of my heart where I have stored regret and disappointment. Sometimes I wonder if I am too complicated for your mercy, but then I remember that you are the one who created the depth inside me. You understand even the silence I do not know how to explain when my faith flickers like a weak flame. You are still the steady hand that shields it from the wind. In this early hour, I lay everything down. My worries about the bills that never stop coming, the words left unsaid to people I love, the fear of not being enough. I bring you my scattered pieces, not because I expect instant miracles, but because I no longer want to carry them alone. Teach me to surrender without shame, to lean into your presence as a child leans into a parent's arms. Let my first breath today be one of trust. I want to live differently from this moment forward. I do not want to chase peace through distractions or numbness. I want to find it here, in the quiet center of your love. When my mind tries to rush ahead, remind me to return to this stillness. When fear begins to build its fortress again, whisper truth until its walls crumble. Let this dawn become a turning point where my soul stops striving and starts dwelling. I confess that sometimes I doubt you are listening. The world feels loud with unanswered prayers and unseen pain. Yet even in doubt, I choose to speak to you, because somewhere beyond my understanding, you remain faithful. You are the breath that keeps me alive, the patience that waits when I wander, the light that has never once failed to return each morning. I cannot measure your goodness by my feelings, but I can see traces of it in the smallest things, in the bird that sings before sunrise, in the gentle air that touches my skin, in the strength that somehow rises when I should have fallen. If I am honest, part of me is afraid to hope again. Hope can hurt when life does not change quickly. But I sense you asking me not to measure hope by outcomes, but by connection. To hope is to stay in conversation with you, even when I do not understand the answers. So I will try again. I will lift my eyes to a sky that is still dark and believe that morning is already on its way. Dear Father, I do not ask for perfection today. I only ask for presence. Walk with me through this day, step by step. When my thoughts begin to spiral, anchor me in your peace. When my strength fades, let me feel your quiet power in the background of my breathing. Remind me that I am not a project to fix, but a soul to love. And even when I cannot feel you, let me remember that faith is not a feeling, it is the steady choice to stay near. In this silence, I realize that what I truly seek is not answers, but closeness. To know that you are here, in this very room, in this fragile body, in this heart that still dares to beat with hope. The world outside will soon awaken, filled with tasks and noise and moments that test my patience. Before it does, I want to anchor myself in you. I want to remember that peace does not wait for perfect circumstances. It begins the moment I trust that you are with me. So here I sit, the faint light of morning creeping across the floor, and I whisper again, I need you, not as a distant idea, not as a story from long ago, but as the living breath that steadies my shaking hands. Let this day be different, because I began it here with honesty, with surrender, with the smallest seed of faith planted in the soil of your love. And though I do not know what will come, I choose to believe that your light will be enough for the next step. And then the one after that, until the full morning arrives. Lord, the sky is still pale, and the quiet outside feels like a deep breath before the world awakens. My soul is still resting in the hush that followed yesterday's surrender. Something gentle stirs inside me, a small voice that is not mine alone. It feels like an invitation, a whisper that says, come closer. I sense that you are not waiting for perfect words, but for an open heart. So here I am again, still unsure, still trembling, but willing to turn my face toward you. Yesterday, I laid down what weighed me down. Today, I want to take one small step forward. My heart is tired of wandering through thoughts that lead nowhere. I am learning that peace does not come from trying harder, but from turning toward you and staying there. You do not shout over the noise of life. You speak in the pauses between it. And this morning, I want to live inside that pause. Teach me how to be still long enough to recognize when you are speaking. God, I realize now that I have spent so much time listening to everything but you. I have filled my mornings with screens and headlines, my mind with worries about tomorrow. I have rushed past the sunrise, as if it were just another detail in the routine. But not today. Today I choose to pause and look up. I choose to give you my first words instead of my leftover ones. I choose to believe that what begins with you will carry grace through the rest of the day. As I sit here, I can almost hear the earth waking. A single bird begins its song, a reminder that creation never forgets who its maker is. I want to learn from that simplicity to sing because you exist, not because everything is right. Let my heart remember that worship is not a reaction to comfort, but a decision to trust. Even when the path ahead is hidden, I want to say, you are good. Even when my plans unravel, I want to remember that your hands hold what I cannot fix. Father, sometimes I forget that you are not a distant figure waiting for me to earn your attention. You are here, even in the ordinary. You are present in the soft light pouring through my window, in the air that carries warmth after a long night, in the pulse of my heartbeat that never once stopped without your permission. Help me to see you in these quiet details instead of searching for you only in miracles. Let my awareness of you grow until it fills the small corners of my day. I admit that I still wrestle with doubt. There are mornings when I question whether these prayers matter, whether you notice someone like me in a world so vast. But doubt is not the absence of faith. It is the doorway through which faith must walk, so I will not run from it. I will bring it to you like an unfinished sentence, trusting that you will complete it in your own way. My doubts remind me that I am human. Your presence reminds me that being human is not hopeless. I think about how many times you have waited for me to slow down, to stop chasing the next thing, to listen. I remember seasons when I rushed through life and called it progress, yet found my spirit hollow by nightfall. Now, I want to live differently. I want to begin each day not by planning what I will do, but by asking who you want me to become. Let every task that lies ahead be shaped by this question. Let my ambition be purified by your peace, until all I desire is to walk in rhythm with you. Sometimes I imagine what it must look like from your perspective, how you watch the world awaken each morning, how you see billions of hearts rise and fall, some in fear, some in love, some still searching for you without knowing it. And yet, you notice this one soul sitting quietly, whispering small words into the silence. That thought alone humbles me. It tells me that I am seen, not because I am significant to the world, but because I am significant to you, God. I no longer want to chase what is fleeting. The more I run after approval, success, or comfort, the emptier I become. But when I sit here and breathe in your peace, I sense a deeper truth. What I truly crave is not recognition, but belonging. You are the only place my heart has ever felt at home. Remind me of that when I am tempted to measure my worth by what others think. Keep my eyes fixed on the quiet assurance that your love does not change with my performance. This morning, I lift to you all the small beginnings that go unseen, the simple kindness that no one thanks me for, the unseen patience, the silent effort to forgive. You see every hidden act, and you weave them into something sacred. Teach me to value what you value, to measure success not by how loud it is, but by how full of love it becomes. Let me begin this day with gratitude instead of complaint, with purpose instead of panic, with stillness instead of hurry. Lord, the first light is spreading now, touching the edge of everything. The darkness no longer feels as heavy. I realize that faith often looks like this, not a sudden blaze, but a gradual brightening. It starts with one small turning, one choice to face the light again. I do not know what this day will bring, but I know the one who brings it. So as I rise from this quiet place, keep my heart turned toward you. Let every thought, every word, every step today begin in this direction toward peace, toward truth, toward you. Father, as the morning deepens and light begins to spill across the horizon, I feel the weight of what still lives inside me. The quiet no longer hides it. When I slow down enough to listen, I hear the noise beneath my calm. It is the echo of thoughts that do not rest, the hum of old fears pretending to be logic. I realize that peace is not only found in turning toward you, but also in facing what stands between us, the quiet battle inside my own mind. Lord, I confess that I often live as though two worlds exist within me. One part believes you completely, trusting that you will carry me through every storm. The other part doubts, whispers, and rehearses disaster as if worry could protect me. I can feel both voices wrestling even now, one reaching for faith, the other clutching fear. And I am tired of pretending that this struggle is not real. Today, I bring it into the open, not to feel ashamed, but to be free. There are moments when my thoughts become their own prison. They tell me stories of failure, of what might go wrong, of who I will never become. These stories build walls around my joy until all I see is limitation. But you did not create me to live behind invisible bars. You made me for courage, for clarity, for truth that liberates. Help me recognize when my mind is speaking from fear instead of faith. Help me choose the voice that brings life, not the one that steals it. God, I can feel how easily I let my emotions define reality. When sadness whispers, I believe hope has disappeared. When anxiety visits, I assume danger is near. When anger rises, I think justice depends on my control. But deep down, I know feelings are not masters, they are messengers. They remind me what hurts, what matters, what needs healing. Teach me to listen without bowing down to them. Let me feel without being consumed. Let me face emotion as a wave that passes, not a flood that drowns. There are also battles I cannot name, shadows that formed long ago and still find their way into my mornings. Sometimes it is the fear of repeating old mistakes. Sometimes it is shame from words I cannot take back. Sometimes it is grief that wakes me before the dawn and sits quietly beside me, saying nothing. These are the unseen wars that wear down the soul. I place them before you now. Not neatly, not fully understood, but honestly. You know where they began. You know how to end them. Father, I realize how much energy I have spent trying to look peaceful while fighting inside. I have smiled when I wanted to scream, nodded when I wanted to cry, acted brave while I was breaking. I told myself that faith meant never feeling weak, but you never asked me to fake strength. You asked me to bring truth, and truth is this: I am often scared, uncertain, jealous, impatient, lonely, and easily distracted. But I am also loved, chosen, forgiven, and invited to start again. Those two realities lie side by side in me, and you hold them both with grace. Sometimes I wish you would simply remove the struggle, the thoughts that spiral, the emotions that pull, the temptations that return like old songs. But perhaps the battle itself teaches dependence. If every weakness vanished, I might forget the sweetness of leaning on you. So instead of asking you to erase the fight, I ask for the strength to stand in it differently, to remember that I am not alone in the arena of my mind. You are here, steady and patient, whispering courage when my own voice falters. Lord, remind me that victory does not always look loud. Sometimes it is the quiet decision not to believe the lie this time. Sometimes it is choosing to forgive myself for what yesterday stole. Sometimes it is letting go of the need to win an argument that only exists inside my head. Let me celebrate small triumphs that go unseen the moment I choose kindness over bitterness, stillness over reaction, trust over control. These are not small to you. They are sacred beginnings. There are times when I wonder why certain thoughts return again and again. It feels like weeds that grow faster than I can pull. But I hear you reminding me that transformation is a process, not a performance. The soil of my heart is still being tilled. The roots of old habits are being loosened. Change is slow, but it is happening. Every time I turn back to you, the ground shifts a little. The light reaches deeper, and something old loses its power. Teach me to be patient with the pace of my healing. I also see how easy it is to fight the wrong battles. I spend energy trying to control people, fix situations, prove my worth, yet the true fight is within, against pride, against fear, against the belief that I am alone. When I stop warring with the world, I can finally hear you saying, "Be still." That stillness is not weakness. It is surrender. It is the moment I realize that peace does not come from winning, but from trusting the one who already has, God. As this morning unfolds, help me live aware of this inner space where battles rise and fall. Let your truth be the air I breathe, not the fleeting noise of my thoughts when anxiety knocks. Let me answer with worship when guilt whispers. Let me answer with grace when old memories try to define me. Let me answer with your promise of new beginnings. I do not need to be flawless to be faithful. I only need to keep returning. Now the light outside has grown stronger, painting everything in gold. It reminds me that the world itself is made of contrasts: light beside darkness, sound beside silence, pain beside beauty. If you allow both to exist, then perhaps my own contradictions are not a sign of failure, but of being alive. The battle inside me is not proof of defeat, but of transformation still in progress. And if you are patient with my process, then I can be too. So here I am again. Father, heart open, mind learning, soul listening. I will not hide from the struggle anymore. I will bring every thought captive to your kindness. I will let the storm speak, but I will also let you answer. Teach me to stand in the middle, honest about my weakness, anchored in your strength until peace grows quietly from the ground, where I once feared only chaos could live. Lord, as the sunlight slowly stretches across the floor, I feel my thoughts begin to wander again toward the future. The battles inside me from earlier have quieted a little, but in their silence, another challenge appears: the waiting. It feels like a different kind of struggle, one without noise or motion, where everything in me wants to rush ahead while you whisper, "Be still." And I realize now that waiting is not emptiness. It is its own kind of faith. Father, I admit that patience has never come easily to me. I want answers quickly, healing instantly, clarity now. My heart grows restless in the in-between, as if every pause were a punishment. Yet I sense that you do some of your deepest work in delay. Waiting is not the absence of action, it is the cultivation of trust. When I do not see what you are doing, it does not mean you are absent. It means you are preparing something unseen. Still, my human heart trembles, wanting to hold what only you can time perfectly. God, I look back at my life and see how many times you have written stories I would never have imagined. You have turned disappointment into redirection, silence into shaping, and closed doors into new paths that only made sense later. I remember seasons that felt like endings, which were actually beginnings wearing different clothes. Yet even with those memories, I still find myself impatient, afraid of standing still too long. Teach me to rest not because I understand your plan, but because I trust your heart. Sometimes I confuse stillness with stagnation. I think that if nothing visible is changing, then nothing real is happening. But the seed buried in the ground is proof that growth is often hidden. It disappears into darkness before it ever breaks into life. And perhaps this is what you are asking of me, now to stay planted, to trust that the unseen roots of faith are strengthening beneath the soil of waiting. Let me not dig them up with worry. Let me stay where you have placed me until it is time to bloom. Lord, I see how often impatience leads me to force outcomes that were never mine to control. I have tried to hurry healing, to open doors before they were ready, to shape people into what I needed them to be. Each time, the result has been the same exhaustion and emptiness. Yet your way, though slower, always leads to peace. It asks me to believe that what is meant for me will not miss me, and what passes by was never mine to chase. Help me surrender to that rhythm. There are mornings like this when I feel as if I am standing on the threshold of something not yet revealed. I sense movement but see nothing. It feels like holding my breath at the edge of dawn. And maybe that is the point, to learn to trust the unseen light before it breaks the horizon. To believe that even when life looks motionless, grace is still unfolding, slowly, quietly, faithfully. Father, teach me how to rest without guilt. The world around me glorifies constant motion, rewarding business more than peace. Yet you call me to something different, a life rooted, not rushed. When I pause in your presence, I am not wasting time. I am aligning with eternity. Let my worth not depend on how much I accomplish today, but on how present I am to you in every small thing I do. Let my identity be grounded not in performance, but in belonging. There are things I still do not understand, prayers that linger unanswered, hopes that seem delayed beyond reason. Sometimes I wonder if I have misheard you or if you have changed your mind. But deep inside, I know you do not operate on confusion. What feels like silence is often your mercy protecting me from what I am not ready to receive. You withhold only to prepare me for a fullness I could not yet hold. Help me believe that your no is still love, and your wait is still grace. God, I realize that trust is not built on outcomes, it is built on consistency. You have never failed me. Even when I thought you had, you have been constant through every season. The joy and the heartbreak, the rising and the breaking. Every dawn I have ever seen has been proof that darkness never wins the last word. So today, as I sit in this in-between space, I will let the memory of your faithfulness become the anchor for my waiting. Sometimes I imagine you watching over my life like an artist who paints layer upon layer. From close up, the strokes seem random, chaotic even, but when I step back, I see the beauty taking shape. Maybe faith is learning to trust the painter's hand before the picture is complete. Patience is standing before the unfinished canvas and choosing to praise what I cannot yet see. Father, help me notice the small gifts hidden in the waiting, the deeper conversations that only happen in stillness, the self-awareness that grows when noise fades, the courage that comes when I stop running from discomfort. Waiting refines the heart like fire refines gold. It burns away what is temporary, so that only what is pure remains. Let this season teach me not just to wait for answers, but to wait with you, to rest in your presence instead of racing toward resolution. I think of the moments when I have hurried through pain, trying to escape it, not realizing that healing has its own schedule. You do not rush the sunrise, yet it never fails to arrive. The same is true for my life. You are not late. You are precise. Every delay carries a purpose, every pause a lesson in surrender. So even now, when I cannot see the path ahead, I choose to stay here in faith's quiet classroom, letting patience become my prayer. The world outside is brighter now, the morning fully alive. But something inside me feels calmer than before. Perhaps this is what real trust feels like, not certainty, but peace without explanation. A stillness that says, even if I do not know when, I know who. That knowledge alone is enough to steady me. So here I am, Lord, breathing deeply in the warmth of your timing, letting go of the clock I keep building in my mind. What you begin, you will finish. What you promise, you will fulfill. I do not need to rush what is divine. I only need to remain open, faithful, and at rest while you unfold the story in your perfect way. God, as this morning unfolds, I feel something inside me beginning to shift. It is not loud or sudden. It is subtle, like the quiet settling of dust after a storm. Perhaps this is how hope returns, not as a thunderclap, but as a whisper that slowly takes root in the silence left behind. After so many days of uncertainty and waiting, I can sense a faint pulse of renewal, a small reminder that you are still at work, restoring what the night tried to steal. Father, there was a time when I thought hope had to look strong, radiant, loud, unshakable. But now I understand that real hope often begins fragile. It trembles like the first leaf after winter, thin yet alive. It does not need to prove its endurance. It simply grows. And maybe this is the beauty of your grace, that you do not demand perfection before you begin rebuilding. You meet me in the ruins, brush off the ashes, and start shaping something new while the smoke still rises. Lord, I bring you the places inside me that have gone quiet, the parts where disappointment once built walls. I bring the prayers that have grown faint from repetition, the dreams that feel too heavy to lift again. I do not offer them as achievements, but as offerings of surrender. Take what remains, even if it is only a spark. Breathe on it until it burns again. Because if you are still near, then even the smallest ember of hope can light an entire dawn. I used to think healing would come in a moment, as if one touch from heaven would erase every scar. But now I see that healing often unfolds like morning light. It stretches slowly, revealing color where there was only shadow. It does not rush to prove itself. It simply keeps moving forward until everything hidden is touched by warmth. Teach me to embrace that pace. Let me find joy not only in the moment of breakthrough, but in the process of becoming whole. There are pieces of me, God, that still resist restoration. They cling to old narratives, to the familiar ache of fear. Sometimes, brokenness feels safer than beginning again, because it is known. But you are patient. You do not scold me for my hesitation. You wait beside the closed doors of my heart until I am ready to open them. You remind me that hope does not erase pain. It transforms it into a doorway. What once felt like an ending can become the threshold to new purpose. Father, I want to believe again not in outcomes, but in your goodness. I want to wake each day expecting to see your fingerprints in small places. The kindness of a stranger, the resilience of my own breath, the beauty in something I once overlooked. Let me not miss the miracles that hide in ordinary moments. Hope does not always arrive with grand gestures. Sometimes it comes as the strength to smile when nothing has changed. To take one more step even without certainty. That is the kind of faith I want to carry. There are times when I still question why certain things had to break. I replay the losses, the betrayals, the unexpected turns that altered everything I thought I knew. Yet even as those memories surface, I sense your quiet voice saying, "This, too, I can use." You are the only one who can weave redemption out of fragments. You do not discard what is damaged. You design from it. What I call failure becomes raw material in your hands. Nothing, not even my worst mistakes, is wasted in your story. God, I am learning that hope is not a feeling I chase, but a choice I return to. Some mornings it will come easily. Others I will have to fight to hold it. But either way, I will choose to lift my eyes. I will remind myself that every sunrise carries a promise. I cannot manufacture the assurance that darkness never has the final say. Let that truth take deeper root than my fears. Let it become the rhythm that steadies my breath when life feels uncertain again. I think about how fragile things survive. The tiny bird that endures the cold night. The flower that grows through cracks in the pavement. The human heart that keeps beating even after it has been broken. These are not weak things. They are living testimonies of your sustaining grace. You made them to endure not through force, but through resilience. Let me live the same way, not immune to pain, but anchored in your presence that keeps me from collapsing beneath it. Lord, I also ask that you teach me how to nurture hope in others. Sometimes, the easiest way to remember your goodness is to become a reflection of it. Let my words bring peace instead of judgment. My silence bring understanding instead of distance. My actions carry warmth instead of weariness. Hope grows stronger when it is shared. If someone's light has gone out, let me carry a little flame for them until they can find their own again. Father, I want to learn the art of gentle living, the kind that breathes deeply, listens fully, and loves without calculation. I want to walk through this world unhurried, certain that grace is never late. I want to release the need to know everything will turn out, and rest in the truth that you already do. The future is not my burden to bear. It is your promise to fulfill. All I must do is remain faithful in the small things that shape my days. The morning has fully awakened now, and I can feel life stirring all around me, the hum of traffic, the laughter of neighbors, the steady rhythm of a world continuing forward. There was a time when that motion felt overwhelming, but today it feels like music. Maybe hope sounds like this, the quiet harmony between heaven's constancy and human fragility. It is the song that rises from the heart that refuses to give up. even when nothing yet makes sense. So here I am, God. Hands open. Spirit quiet, ready for what comes next. I will walk into this day, not as someone who has everything figured out, but as someone who has been gently rebuilt. I will carry the soft strength of hope, the kind that bends but does not break, that trusts even in uncertainty, that finds beauty in beginnings too small to notice. And I will let that hope guide me. One breath, one step, one sunrise at a time. Lord, the quiet hope that began to bloom within me now stretches towards something deeper. It is no longer just the comfort of believing that better days will come. It is the surrender to follow you even when I cannot see where the road leads. I realize now that faith is not only about expecting miracles, but about walking blindfolded through the fog and knowing that your hand is still holding mine. Father, the days ahead are uncertain. There are crossroads waiting where logic and faith will not agree. My human mind longs for clarity, for road signs, for certainty written in bold letters. Yet, you speak instead through whispers, through subtle nudges, through silence that asks me to listen differently. You do not shout your directions. You draw me closer until my trust becomes the language I hear you with. Teach me to walk this unseen path, not with fear, but with reverence for the mystery that surrounds your will. Sometimes I think of how a traveler moves through the mountains before dawn. The trail is hidden, and each step feels unsure. But the traveler keeps walking, because he knows that light will eventually reveal what he cannot yet see. That is how I want to live, taking one step at a time, guided not by sight, but by conviction that you have already gone ahead of me. Even if the path twists or narrows, it is still leading me toward what you have prepared. God, I confess that I often equate control with safety. I plan, predict, and prepare until I feel protected from the unknown. But you have shown me that faith grows only in spaces where I am not in control. It is in the uncertain that my heart learns how to lean. And though it feels uncomfortable, it is holy. The very moments that unsettle me are the ones that deepen my dependence on you. Let me see surrender not as weakness, but as the highest act of trust. There are times when silence feels unbearable, when prayers seem to echo into emptiness. I wonder if you are still listening, or if I have wandered too far. Yet even then, there is a quiet assurance that never leaves, a steady peace that reminds me I am still seen. I may not hear your answers yet, but I can feel your presence. And that is enough. You do not owe me explanations. You offer companionship. You do not always reveal the plan, but you never abandon the traveler. Father, teach me to walk slowly enough to notice the lessons along the way. I do not want to rush past the scenery of your grace or overlook the small miracles hidden in the everyday. I want to find you in the pauses in the morning air, in the faces of those I meet, in the simple act of breathing. The path may be unseen, but you leave traces everywhere. Kindness that finds me, love that surprises me, and strength that appears just when I think I have none left. Sometimes the path feels steep, and I find myself looking backward, tempted to return to what was comfortable. But I know that growth rarely happens in retreat. You are not behind me. You are before me, drawing me towards something greater. Every difficulty I face is shaping me for the next step. Help me stop romanticizing the past and start revering the present. Let me trust that every season, even the confusing ones, holds purpose under your guidance. Lord, I also know that not every open door is meant to be entered. Some paths glitter but lead to emptiness, while others look barren but end in abundance. I cannot rely solely on appearance. That is why I need your wisdom to recognize which way carries your peace. If walking with you means losing the approval of others or stepping into the unknown, let me choose you every time. Even when the world calls it foolish, I will call it faith. There are people I have met along the way who have reminded me of your faithfulness. Some walked beside me only for a short while. Others remain through every storm. They are your reminders that I am not meant to journey alone. You weave companionship into the path, souls who lift me when I stumble, voices that echo your truth when I forget. Let me also be that presence for someone else. Let my life become a light that guides others through their fog, not by telling them where to go, but by showing them that trust is possible. Father, sometimes the path wins through pain. I see the broken places in the world, the injustice, the suffering, and I wonder how you can bear it all. But even in that darkness, you invite me to be part of the restoration. You do not call me to fix everything, only to bring love wherever I am placed. Maybe this unseen path is less about finding direction and more about becoming direction, a living reminder of grace in motion. God, as I walk further, I notice how much lighter my burdens feel when I stop carrying what was never mine. Fear, guilt, comparison, they weigh down my steps. But when I hand them to you, the journey becomes different. The road may still be steep, but I am not dragging chains anymore. Instead of striving, I begin to glide. Instead of controlling, I begin to trust. I am learning that freedom is not found in knowing the destination, but in knowing the one who leads. There are mornings when the path ahead glows faintly, and I sense your nearness so vividly that it feels like breathing you in. Other days, it is fogged with confusion, and I can see only the next step. But you are in both. The same God who walks with me in clarity also walks with me in uncertainty. The difference is not in your presence, but in my perception. Let me learn to recognize you not only in revelation, but in restraint, not only in answers, but in the sacred quiet of waiting. Lord, when I look back one day, I know I will see that the path was never random. Every detour, every pause, every loss, every unexpected turn was shaping a story that makes perfect sense only in hindsight. What feels like wandering now will one day read like precision. You have never wasted a step, and you never will, so I choose to keep walking one breath at a time, one prayer at a time, trusting that wherever I go from here, you have already gone before me. So here I am, Father, standing on this stretch of road that disappears into the horizon. I cannot see where it ends, but I know who began it. The morning air feels full of possibility, and I let that possibility rest quietly in my chest. I will walk forward, not because I understand, but because I trust, and that trust, though unseen, is enough to carry me through every mile of this divine and mysterious journey. Father, the more I walk this unseen path, the more I realize that faith is not just about holding on, it is also about letting go. Letting go of what no longer fits the journey, of burdens disguised as responsibilities, of expectations I once thought sacred but now see were rooted in fear. There is a strange kind of peace that begins to settle in the soul when it stops clinging to what it cannot keep. And as I breathe in the quiet of this morning, I know you are teaching me this sacred art of release. Lord, I have carried so much for so long. Regrets that whisper what could have been, memories that loop like echoes, mistakes I tried to rewrite with endless apologies. They weigh on my heart like stones in a pocket, dragging me down just enough to keep me from rising freely into your light. But you never asked me to bear these things forever. You only asked me to bring them to you. Today, I want to open my hands and let them go, one by one, until there is nothing left to carry but grace. God, I know that letting go does not mean forgetting. It means choosing freedom over fixation. It means trusting that what I release into your hands will not be lost, it will be redeemed. The pain I surrender is not wasted. It becomes the soil where new beginnings take root. Sometimes, the hardest part of faith is not believing that you can create. It is believing that you can recreate from what is broken. And yet, that is what you do best, turning fragments into foundations, ashes into gardens. There are relationships, too, that I must release not in bitterness, but in blessing. People I have loved who could not stay. Connections that once brought joy, but now stir confusion. Holding on too tightly only makes my heart restless, trying to keep what time and purpose have already moved beyond. I pray for the courage to let go with love, to trust that every departure carries its own divine meaning. Perhaps some souls are meant to walk with me only for a season, and that does not make their presence any less holy. Father, there are also dreams that need releasing, not because they were wrong, but because they have served their purpose. I used to think that surrendering a dream meant failure, but now I see that some dreams are meant to transform. When I cling to what was, I leave no room for what could be. Let me not mistake closure for loss. Help me to remember that every ending you allow is also an opening, a clearing in the forest, where something new can grow. There is a part of me that resists this process. It whispers that if I release control, I will fall apart. But in truth, falling apart in your hands is the beginning of becoming whole. You never intended me to live guarded, constantly bracing against change. You call me to live open, even when openness feels like risk. Teach me to find safety not in certainty, but in surrender. The more I loosen my grip, the more I discover that you were never asking me to hold on to things, only to you. Lord, I remember moments when I tried to hold together what was already breaking. Friendships that faded no matter how I prayed, seasons that ended no matter how I resisted. And though I grieved those losses deeply, I can now see how your mercy was woven into them. You were protecting me from the weight of things that could not go where you were leading. Sometimes, your kindness comes disguised as separation. Sometimes, the unanswered prayer is the very proof of your love. God, Help me to trust that what leaves my life does not diminish. Every release creates space for something better, something truer. Emptiness is not punishment, it is preparation. Like a potter clearing away the excess clay to refine the vessel. You are shaping me through subtraction as much as through addition. Let my heart not fear the hollow places, for you fill them in your time with peace far richer than what I lost. There are moments when I still look back, wondering if I should have held on longer, tried harder, loved deeper. But when I quiet those doubts, I hear your voice reminding me that love is not measured by possession, but by purity. True love, whether for a person, a dream, or a season, releases without resentment. It blesses even as it departs. It believes that what was real will never truly be gone. It will live on in the lessons, the growth, and the quiet strength it leaves behind. Father, letting go also means releasing the image I once had of myself, the perfection I tried to maintain, the roles I thought defined my worth. I have spent years trying to be enough, trying to earn love that was already given. But I no longer want to strive for approval that fades. I want to live from the assurance that I am already yours. My worth was decided long before I could perform or fail. Let me live each day as someone deeply known and deeply loved, without the exhausting need to prove it. There is a tenderness that rises when I finally stop resisting. In the stillness, I can almost feel your hands cupping the fragments of what I have released. You do not scold or shame. You simply hold. You remind me that loss is not the end of the story. It is the sacred pause where grace begins its quiet work. Every release, every surrender, every letting go becomes a form of worship. It is my way of saying, I trust you more than I trust my own plans. Lord, I sense you inviting me to step lighter into this new day. The morning light has shifted, it feels softer, freer, as if the world itself has exhaled. Perhaps that is what my soul is learning to do. To exhale, to unclench, to rest in your rhythm instead of forcing my own. The air feels different when I stop trying to control it. I can finally breathe without fear of what will happen next. So here I am again. Father, hands open to heaven. Heart unguarded, ready for what you will place within it next. Whatever comes, I will receive it with gratitude. Whatever goes, I will release it with peace. I am learning that the truest strength lies not in holding tight, but in letting go gently, with faith that what is meant to remain will stay, not because I cling to it, but because you have chosen it for me. Lord, this morning feels different. The air is quiet, not in emptiness, but in fullness, as if peace itself has weight and presence. After learning how to let go, I wake with an unfamiliar calm, steady, grounded, like the silence after a storm that no longer threatens to return. Perhaps this is what you have been leading me toward all along, not just survival, but serenity. I can sense that peace is not something that suddenly appears. It is something you build inside me, one surrender at a time. Father, There was a season when I mistook peace for comfort. I believed it would come only when everything was fixed, when the answers arrived and the pain disappeared. But now I understand that true peace is not found in the absence of trouble, it lives within it. It is the quiet assurance that you are still sovereign, still good, still near. Even when nothing changes around me, something shifts within me. The storm outside may roar, but the one inside begins to still. God, I remember how restless my heart used to be. I was constantly searching for resolution, for closure, for something certain to stand on. I would pray for peace and then run to control the outcome, as if I could manufacture the very thing I asked you to give. But peace does not grow where control reigns. It comes when I stop striving to make sense of everything and begin to rest in the fact that you already have. Your peace is not a reward for perfect understanding. It is the fruit of perfect trust. There are moments when I still feel the tremor of fear, the small panic that whispers, "What if?" Yet now, I meet those whispers differently. Instead of running from them, I sit with them and remember your faithfulness. I trace the timeline of my life and see how you have never failed me. Even when I thought you had, every unanswered prayer, every delay, every detour, each was a thread in a tapestry I could not yet see. And now, standing here in the morning light, I realize that peace begins the moment I stop needing to see the whole picture. Lord, you have taught me that peace is not fragile. It does not depend on how gentle life feels. It endures because it comes from you, and you are unshakable. It is the kind of strength that moves quietly, carrying me through uncertainty without collapsing under its weight. It is the calm that keeps me from reacting, the patience that allows me to listen, the grace that teaches me how to love even when it hurts. This peace does not make me passive. It makes me anchored. Father, I want to live from this place, not occasionally visit it when life softens, but dwell here, where my heart beats in rhythm with yours. I want this peace to flow into every word I speak, every decision I make, every thought I entertain. I want it to shape how I see people, how I forgive, how I respond when I am misunderstood. Because peace is not just a feeling, it is a posture. It is choosing compassion over reaction, stillness over chaos, faith over fear. I see now that peace is also courage. It takes courage to stay gentle in a world that rewards noise. It takes courage to trust that silence can be powerful, that patience can win battles that shouting never could. The world tells me to fight harder, to push louder, to prove my worth. But you whisper a different instruction. Be still and know. Those words are not a call to an action. They are an invitation to intimacy. When I am still, I begin to know you more deeply than when I was striving. Sometimes I wonder how many moments of peace I have missed because I was busy preparing for trouble. I have lived with clenched fists, waiting for the next wave, instead of opening my hands to receive what is already good. Yet peace does not need perfect conditions, it simply needs presence. It grows wherever gratitude takes root. So this morning, instead of listing what I lack, I count what I have. Breath, grace, another sunrise, another chance to begin again. Gratitude is the soil where peace blossoms. Lord, even as I sit here, I feel the world beyond my window awakening with noise cars, voices, plans, deadlines. Soon I will step into it, and this quiet may fade beneath its volume. But I do not want peace to stay behind in this room. I want it to walk with me. Let it be the steady rhythm beneath the day's interruptions. Let it be the soft tone in my voice when others speak in haste. Let it be the calm that enters a room before I do. I do not want to carry peace as an escape. I want to embody it as a witness. Father, help me to remember that peace is not a place I reach. It is a presence I remain in. It is not the absence of pain, but the certainty of purpose within it. When I feel anxious again, remind me of this stillness. When fear tries to reclaim its throne, remind me of this morning's light. When I am tempted to rush, remind me that what comes from you cannot be missed by those who move with you. Your timing carries tranquility. Your plans breathe patience. There is a gentleness to your ways that humbles me. You never force peace upon me. You invite me into it. You do not shout over my chaos. You simply wait until I am quiet enough to hear the truth that has been there all along, that I am safe, that I am loved, that nothing can separate me from you. And when I finally stop running, I realized that peace was not something I had to find. It was something that had been holding me the entire time. God, I want to walk through this day clothed in that realization. Let my thoughts move slower, my words weigh lighter, my heart stay soft. Let my peace not depend on the behavior of others or the outcomes I cannot predict. Let it be rooted in you alone, immovable and constant, like the air that fills every space yet never demands to be seen. The sunlight is stronger now, streaming through the window like a quiet affirmation. It touches the walls, the floor, my hands. It feels like your way of reminding me that light, peace are always connected, that wherever you shine, stillness follows. So as I step into this day, I will not chase calm. I will carry it. The peace you have built within me will go before me, behind me, and beside me, shaping every moment into something sacred. Father, as the peace from the early morning settles deeper into my heart, I find myself noticing things I used to overlook. The air feels softer, the light more golden, the world somehow both fragile and holy. Gratitude is beginning to take form, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a steady awareness of how much you have already given. I used to wake with a list of what was missing, but now I wake to see what has quietly remained. Perhaps this is what true gratitude is. Learning to see the abundance within the ordinary. Lord, I think about how often I have prayed for miracles, not realizing that I was living among them. The steady rhythm of my heartbeat, the breath that comes without my asking, the way the sun returns without fail after every night. These are small miracles wrapped in routine. They do not shout for attention, yet they speak of you in ways words never could. Gratitude begins here, in the quiet recognition that life itself is a gift I did nothing to earn. Each moment is borrowed from your mercy, and that realization humbles me. God, I admit there were days when I could not find gratitude anywhere. Pain clouded my sight. Disappointment narrowed my vision, and fear made every good thing feel temporary. But even in those seasons, you were patient. You never demanded joy before healing. You simply stayed near until I could see again. Gratitude, I am learning, is not pretending that everything is perfect. It is believing that even in imperfection, there is purpose. It is not ignoring pain. It is allowing light to pass through it until something beautiful shines again. Father, thank you for teaching me that gratitude is not only for the mountaintops, but also for the valleys. It is easy to give thanks when blessings are visible, but deeper gratitude grows in hidden soil where faith must look beyond what eyes can see. When I thank you in the middle of uncertainty, it transforms my fear into faith. Every thank you whispered in the dark becomes a candle that pushes back despair. Gratitude does not change my circumstances. It changes my sight. And through new eyes, I begin to see that nothing is wasted, not the tears, not the waiting, not even the breaking. Lord, today I want to practice noticing the laughter of someone I love, the scent of coffee drifting through the morning, the way sunlight touches leaves like a blessing. These small things remind me that joy does not always arrive with fanfare. It often hides in the simple, the familiar, the overlooked. Let my gratitude not be limited to extraordinary moments. Let it overflow from everyday mercies, the kind that come so consistently I forget to call them miracles. Sometimes, gratitude feels like a discipline more than a feeling. There are mornings when my heart resists it, weighed down by invisible burdens. On those days, help me to speak thanks before I feel it. Help me to remember that thanksgiving is not about denying struggle. It is about declaring truth in the middle of it. Gratitude says, God is still good, even when life is not easy. It pulls me out of self-pity and back into perspective. It lifts my eyes from what is lacking to what is lasting. Father, gratitude is also a teacher. It teaches humility because everything I have is borrowed. It teaches compassion because recognizing my blessings opens my eyes to the needs of others. And it teaches joy because joy is not the absence of sorrow, but the awareness that love is still present in the midst of it. Gratitude reorders my heart until it aligns with yours. When I live thankful, I live lighter, freer, more aware of grace moving quietly through my days. I have come to see that gratitude is contagious. When I speak it aloud, it multiplies. When I practice it, it softens the hearts of those around me. A single expression of thankfulness can shift the atmosphere of a room. It invites peace where there was tension and warmth where there was distance. Let my words today be filled with this kind of gratitude, not shallow politeness, but deep acknowledgement of your kindness. Let every interaction I have be flavored with the awareness that I am living on borrowed grace. Lord, sometimes I forget that gratitude is not only for what has been given, but also for what has been withheld. The opportunities I wanted but did not receive. The relationships that ended before they could wound me more deeply. The prayers you did not answer because you had something better in mind. These, too, are reasons for thanks. I may not always understand your ways. Gratitude allows me to rest in the knowledge that you see beyond what I can comprehend. Every no from you carries the echo of a greater yes waiting in time. Father, I want my heart to become a place where gratitude lives easily, not as a guest that visits occasionally, but as a resident that abides. I want it to wake before my mind does, to breathe before my words form, to color every thought with the awareness of grace. When I live from gratitude, I am no longer afraid of loss, because I see that every blessing I hold is already a miracle, even if it is temporary. Gratitude turns possession into worship. It reminds me that everything I have was never mine to begin with. God, when I walk through the day ahead, let gratitude be my rhythm. Let it rise in me like breath unforced, constant and life-giving. Let it turn my worry into wonder and my routine into reverence. Let every challenge I face become an invitation to trust. Every kindness I receive a reason to give. Every moment a doorway into your presence. Gratitude does not require perfection. It only requires attention. And today, I choose to pay attention. The light outside my window has grown brighter, filling the room with warmth. It feels as though creation itself is echoing this truth, that thanksgiving is woven into the fabric of existence. The trees stretch upward in silent praise. The birds sing without knowing if anyone listens. Everything in nature knows how to give back simply by being what it was made to be. Let my life echo that same simplicity, to live fully, to love freely, and to give thanks continually. So here I am, Father, heart lifted, eyes open, walking into this day with hands unclenched. Gratitude has become my song, not because everything is perfect, but because you are present. I will not measure this day by what I accomplish, but by how aware I remain of your goodness in it. And as I step forward, may thankfulness not just pass through me, it may become the language my soul speaks fluently. The melody that keeps my spirit aligned with yours, no matter what the day may bring. Lord, gratitude has softened my heart, and from that softness rises a new desire to love as you love, to walk through this day with compassion as my language. The peace and thankfulness you have planted within me are not meant to stay confined inside. They are meant to flow outward, to touch lives quietly but deeply. I feel you stirring something new, a call not just to receive grace, but to become a vessel of it. Because when the heart is full of thankfulness, it naturally begins to overflow in kindness. Father, teach me to see people as you see them. I do not want to glance at others through the lens of judgment or impatience anymore. I want to look at faces and see stories' hidden pain. Quiet courage, silent prayers waiting to be answered. Too often I have passed by someone hurting because I was preoccupied with my own concerns. But compassion begins with slowing down, does not it? It asks me to pause long enough to truly notice another soul. Let my eyes become instruments of mercy, recognizing dignity even where the world has turned away. God, compassion is not always convenient. It interrupts plans, stretches comfort, and asks for something deeper than sympathy. It asks for participation. To love people in the way you call me to means stepping into their reality, even when it is messy. But when I think of you, I see that compassion was never about comfort. It was about closeness. You did not remain distant from suffering. You entered it. You wept, touched, healed, and carried what was not yours to bear. That is what love looks like, presence without condition. Sometimes I feel small, Lord, as if my gestures of kindness could never make a real difference. The world feels so heavy, and my hands so limited. Yet you remind me that compassion does not require grandeur. It requires sincerity. A gentle word can stop a storm inside someone. A listening ear can restore hope that was almost gone. A single act of kindness can ripple farther than I will ever see. Let me never underestimate the sacred power of small compassion. Father, I want to live this day as a quiet servant of grace. Let my compassion be practical, not poetic, more about doing than saying. Help me to forgive before I am asked. Help me to speak gently, even when I am right. Help me to choose understanding over pride. These are small deaths to the self, but they birth life in others. True compassion costs something. It asks me to lay down a piece of my own comfort to lift someone else. Yet every time I give away love, you multiply it in me. Lord, there are people who test my patience, those whose words or actions have wounded me deeply. My instinct is to protect myself, to build walls around my heart so I won't be hurt again. But you did not call me to live behind barriers. You call me to forgive as I have been forgiven, to meet hostility with grace and bitterness with blessing. Compassion does not mean forgetting boundaries. It means refusing to let resentment rule them. I can set distance without withdrawing love. I can walk away in peace without walking away from mercy. God, sometimes compassion begins with myself. I have been harsh with my own heart, quick to condemn, slow to comfort. I replay my failures until they shape how I see myself. But I know you never intended self-awareness to become self-punishment. You want me to extend the same grace inward that I give outward, to speak gently to my own soul, to remember that I, too, am human, learning, imperfect, yet deeply loved. Let me rest in that truth today so that I can love others without depletion. There is a kind of compassion that speaks without words, a presence that simply stays. Lord, make me that kind of person, someone who does not rush to fix, but listens. Someone who can sit beside pain without being afraid of it. Someone who carries peace like a quiet offering into every room. The world is full of noise, but a heart that listens becomes a refuge. Let my presence bring comfort, not chaos. Let it remind others that kindness still exists, and that you are near even when life feels unbearable. Father, compassion also means seeing the invisible. The lonely neighbor, the weary parent, the stranger who hides exhaustion behind a smile. Teach me to look beyond appearances, to notice the trembling hand, the tired eyes, the silence that hides despair. Help me to reach out without waiting for permission, to hold space for someone who does not yet know how to ask for help. Sometimes love looks like showing up before being needed, trusting that presence itself is healing. I know that compassion will sometimes lead me into uncomfortable places, into conversations that expose my pride, into situations that require sacrifice. But I want to go there with you, because where compassion leads, your spirit already abides. If I walk into someone else's darkness, I will not walk alone. Your light will walk through me. Let that awareness give me courage when my heart hesitates. Let me remember that love never truly costs. It always returns in forms the world cannot measure. God, thank you for showing me that compassion is not weakness. It is strength refined by tenderness. It takes more courage to love the undeserving than to retaliate against them. It takes more wisdom to understand than to argue. And it takes more power to heal than to hate. The world confuses cruelty with control. But compassion is the language of eternity. It is how heaven breathes through human hearts. This morning feels like a beginning. Father, the sun is higher now, and its warmth reminds me of the quiet fire you have placed within me. Compassion is that fire, gentle yet enduring. It asks me to keep giving, to keep seeing, to keep loving, even when the world grows cold. I do not want this warmth to fade when the day grows difficult. I want it to burn steadily, a flame that cannot be extinguished by disappointment. So here I am once more, hands open. Heart willing, let me walk through this day as a carrier of your compassion, unhurried, unguarded, unafraid. Let my words heal where they once hurt. Let my actions lift where others fall. Let my love echo yours, quiet but unmistakable, steady as morning light. And as I move through the hours ahead, let every encounter become an altar, every kindness a form of worship, and every act of compassion a reflection of the divine love that has already transformed me. Lord, as I carry compassion into this new day, I begin to understand that love alone is not always gentle, it is also strong. Beneath every kind act lies courage, and beneath every peaceful word, a battle fought in silence. The world often measures strength by noise and victory by conquest, but you teach me that true strength is found in quiet endurance, in the unseen moments when I choose faith over fear, forgiveness over pride, and perseverance over despair. Father, there are battles that no one sees, the ones that unfold within the soul. They are not fought with weapons, but with choices. Each morning brings decisions that test the roots of my peace. To respond with grace when I am misunderstood. To remain calm when chaos surrounds me. To keep believing when evidence seems scarce. These are not grand wars, yet they shape who I become. Help me to face them not with anxiety, but with still confidence. Knowing that you fight with me, not against me. God, I confess that some days I grow weary. The effort to stay kind, to stay hopeful, to keep forgiving, it can feel endless. I see the brokenness of the world and sometimes feel powerless to change it. But you remind me that strength is not about conquering everything, it is about remaining steadfast through anything. You did not ask me to carry every burden alone. You asked me to walk faithfully through the ones that shape my heart. So when I grow tired, let me lean into your strength instead of my own. Lord, there are moments when my spirit trembles beneath invisible weight. Worries about tomorrow, wounds from yesterday, they whisper lies that I am not enough. Yet in the quiet, I hear your truth. That strength is not the absence of weakness, but the willingness to bring it before you. The greatest warriors in faith are not those who never fall, but those who rise again, holding your hand. Teach me to see resilience not as defiance, but as devotion, the choice to keep standing, 'cause I trust that you are standing with me. Father, Help me to recognize that strength often looks different than I expect. Sometimes it looks like patience when I want to react. Sometimes it looks like silence when I want to defend myself. Sometimes it looks like surrender when I want to control. The world tells me to push harder, shout louder, fight longer, but your voice invites me to rest in quiet confidence. In you, strength is never frantic. It is calm, rooted, and enduring. It moves like a river, gentle in appearance, but powerful in persistence. God, there are times when I mistake motion for progress. I chase achievements to prove worth, forgetting that peace is not earned by doing, but by being. But even as I slow down, I feel a different kind of power rising inside me, not the rush of adrenaline, but the steadiness of trust. This is the strength that endures the long days, that smiles through confusion, that believes in unseen goodness. It does not crumble when the winds change, because it is anchored in something eternal. Lord, I see now that quiet battles often teach the loudest lessons. They show me the depth of my faith and reveal where fear still hides. Each conflict, internal or external, becomes an invitation to rely on you more fully. When I am tempted to respond with anger, remind me that restraint is not weakness, it is wisdom. When I am tempted to give up, remind me that perseverance is not stubbornness, it is faith in motion. The small victories no one applauds are the ones that build a soul capable of great love. Father, help me to find balance between strength and gentleness. I want to be firm in purpose yet soft in heart, courageous without cruelty, confident without arrogance. Let my strength never be used to overpower, but to uplift, to steady those who falter, to protect those who cannot fight for themselves. True strength, I realize, is not about being unbreakable. It is about being breakable and still choosing to love anyway. Sometimes, Lord, I look back at all the struggles I have faced, and I see how each one carried a hidden mercy. The heartbreaks that taught me compassion, the disappointments that shaped humility, the failures that refined my faith. Pain was never wasted. It was a quiet sculptor carving away what was not needed. Each scar became a story, each tear a seed. Strength did not come from avoiding struggle, but from walking through it and discovering that you were already there. God, in this morning light, I ask for courage not just to endure, but to grow. Strength is not static. It is living, breathing, unfolding. Some days it will roar like a lion. Other days it will whisper like a child's breath. Teach me to honor both the fierce and the fragile, because both belong to you. I do not need to be unshaken to be faithful. Even trembling hands can hold a sword of prayer. Even weary feet can walk the path of obedience. Father, help me to remember that I am never fighting alone. When I face confusion, your wisdom steadies me. When I meet resistance, your love disarms me. When I feel the weight of impossible tasks, your grace lifts it piece by piece. You turn every battle into a classroom of faith, teaching me to rely not on my might, but on your presence. The armor you give me is not made of iron, but of peace, patience, and persistence. There are people I know who are fighting their own unseen wars today, smiling on the outside while struggling in silence. Lord, remind me to see them, to lift them up in spirit, to carry them in prayer. Sometimes strength is shared in ways words cannot describe. Through presence, through empathy, through understanding eyes, let my compassion become a refuge for those who are weary, the way your compassion has been for me. As the morning matures into day, the world begins to stir with its demands. Yet within me, a steady calm remains. It is not a calm born of certainty, but of trust. I do not know what challenges await, but I know the one who equips me for each one. That knowledge itself is strength, a quiet, unwavering confidence that whatever I face, I will not face it without purpose. So here I stand, Lord, ready for the battles that will never make headlines, for the victories that no one else may notice. Let my strength be steady but humble, fierce but tender. Let every choice I make today echo this truth, that true power is found not in control, but in surrender to you. And as I walk forward into this day, may every step, every breath, every struggle become another silent testament that your strength, made perfect in weakness, is more than enough. Father, as I breathe in the calm that follows strength, I begin to understand that true faith is not only believing in you, but walking in step with you. The quiet battles have strengthened me, but now you are teaching me something gentler yet deeper: obedience. Not the kind born from fear, but from love. Not a forced submission, but a willing alignment of my will with yours. There is a peace that comes when I stop striving to control and start surrendering to the rhythm of your guidance. Lord, obedience has never come easily. My heart often wrestles with its own desires, clinging to comfort, questioning timing, resisting the unknown. Yet each time I have followed your leading, even when it defied logic, I have found life. Your ways are not meant to confine me, but to free me from anxiety, from self-dependence, from the chaos of my own plans. Every time I choose your way over mine, I discover that what I thought was restriction is actually restoration. God, I confess that sometimes I obey only partially, giving you pieces of my trust while holding back the rest. I tell you that I surrender, yet deep inside, I still calculate outcomes, still fear what obedience might cost. But you are patient with my hesitations. You remind me that obedience is not measured by perfection, but by posture, a heart turned toward you, willing to be shaped, even when trembling. You never rush me into trust. You invite me to grow into it. Father, obedience often begins in the smallest moments, the quiet choices no one sees. It looks like kindness when I feel unseen, restraint when I long to prove myself, silence when words could wound, forgiveness when pride says otherwise. It is in these invisible acts that my soul learns humility. I am realizing that faith is not proven in public, but practiced in private, where only you and I know the cost of choosing what is right over what is easy. Lord, I used to fear that obeying you meant losing myself. Now I see that it is where I find who I truly am. You never strip away identity. You reveal it. When I follow your will, I become more like the person you designed me to be: peaceful, whole, unshaken by the world's noise. Obedience is not the death of freedom. It is the doorway to it, because your commands are not chains, they are the boundaries that protect beauty, the paths that lead to purpose. There are times when obedience feels heavy, especially when it calls me to release something precious. You ask me to forgive those who never apologized, to love those who hurt me, to give even when it seems I have little left. But each act of obedience becomes an altar, a place where something in me dies so that something new can be born. You never ask without reason. The cost may sting, but the reward is deeper peace. What I lay down in faith always returns refined in grace. God. Obedience requires listening, and listening requires stillness. Too often I fill the silence with my own voice, mistaking movement for progress. But you whisper in the pauses. You speak in the gentle rhythm of a heart that has learned to wait. Teach me to discern that voice, to know when you are leading, even when the world says otherwise. Let me be more attentive to conviction than convenience, more responsive to truth than to comfort. Father, I think of how you guide not through force, but through invitation. You do not push. You beckon. You do not demand. You draw near. Even when I wander, you do not abandon. You pursue me with patient mercy each time I return. You meet me not with scolding, but with open arms. That kind of love makes obedience possible. It transforms duty into devotion, command into communion. I obey not because I have to, but because I cannot bear to walk without you. Lord, obedience is also about timing, the willingness to move when you say move, and to wait when you say wait. Waiting used to frustrate me, but now I see that obedience in stillness is just as sacred as obedience in action. Some doors must remain closed until my heart is ready to enter them. Some paths must stay unseen until I have learned trust deep enough to walk them without fear. Your delays are not denials. They are preparations in the waiting. You shape my motives until they match your will. God, sometimes obedience feels lonely. It means saying no when others say yes, standing apart when blending in would be easier. But even in those moments, I am not alone. You walk with me through the tension of faith, reminding me that obedience is not about popularity, but alignment. The world celebrates independence, but you honor surrender. And I am learning that surrender does not mean losing power, it means gaining peace that no one can take away. Father, I want my obedience to flow from love, not obligation. Let it be tender, not transactional. Wholehearted, not hesitant. Let my yes be rooted in trust, not fear of consequence. You are not a distant ruler issuing commands. You are a loving father guiding his child. When you lead me down unfamiliar paths, I will remember that your direction is always for my good, even when I cannot see the destination. I can trust the heart of the one who guides me there. Lord, help me to remember that obedience is not a single act, but a lifestyle, a continual conversation between my will and yours. It is a rhythm of yielding, trusting, responding. Some days, it will come easily, flowing like breath. Other days, it will feel like climbing uphill against resistance. Yet even in the struggle, obedience becomes worship, because it declares that I believe you are wiser than my understanding and kinder than my fears. As the morning stretches into light, I feel a quiet resolve forming within me. The peace that obedience brings is unlike any other, is steady, unshakable, born from alignment with something eternal. I may not know what this day holds, but I know who holds it. That is enough. So here I am, God, ready to listen, ready to follow. Let every step I take today echo obedience that is gentle, joyful, and unwavering. Let my actions speak louder than my intentions. Let my faith move from belief to response. And as I walk in step with you, may my life become a melody of trust, a living testament that your ways, though higher than mine, are always the path to peace, purpose, and quiet joy. Lord, as obedience begins to settle deeper into my spirit, I realize that walking with you is not only about following, but also about freeing. You keep showing me that obedience without forgiveness cannot bear fruit. The heart that listens but does not release still carries chains. So here I am again, Father, ready to learn the sacred language of letting go, the art of forgiveness that reflects your mercy. Father, forgiveness is one of the hardest roads to walk. It asks me to open my hands when I want to hold on to pain, to bless those who have wounded me, to trust that justice in your hands is far wiser than vengeance in mine. I have told myself before that I forgave, yet deep down I kept pieces of resentment buried like seeds, believing they were gone while secretly nurturing their roots. But resentment, no matter how small, always finds a way to grow again. And it grows not in the soil of others, it grows inside me, quietly suffocating peace. God, teach me how to forgive in the way you forgive fully, freely, without rehearsing the hurt. I cannot rewrite the past, but I can release its hold. Forgiveness does not say the pain was right. It says the pain will no longer rule. It is not the denial of what happened, but the decision that it will no longer define who I am. You never told me forgiveness would be easy, but you promised it would be healing. It is the medicine the soul resists, but the heart desperately needs. There are faces, Lord, that come to mind, people who have hurt me with words, with silence, with betrayal. I have built invisible walls between us, believing they protected me, but all they have done is keep me from freedom. I do not want to live behind walls anymore. I want to walk in the open fields of grace, where the air is clear and bitterness cannot grow. So today, I choose to begin again. I hand you the weight of my grudges. I release the debt I thought they owed me, because you have already paid the greater one I could never repay. Father, forgiveness also means forgiving myself. I am often harsher with my own heart than I am with others. I replay mistakes until they become my identity, letting guilt whisper that I am beyond redemption. Yet you remind me that grace does not only flow outward, it flows inward too. To refuse forgiveness for myself is to reject the very mercy that saved me. So I speak to the parts of me still burdened by shame and tell them, you are forgiven, you are loved, you are free to begin again. Lord, help me to remember that forgiveness is a process, not a single act. Some wounds take time to close, and that is okay. Each day I release a little more, breathe a little deeper, trust a little stronger. Healing does not erase the scar, it transforms it into testimony. The memory remains, but its sting is gone, replaced by wisdom. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength refined through surrender. It takes courage to bless what once broke you. God, when I struggle to forgive, remind me of how you forgave me. You saw every failure, every betrayal, every doubt, and still, you called me beloved. You wiped away my debt without hesitation, without condition. That kind of love leaves no room for bitterness. If grace flowed to me so freely, how can I withhold it from others? Let me become a mirror of that mercy, so that anyone who encounters me will see reflection, not retribution. Father, sometimes forgiveness feels unfair. It seems to let others walk away without accountability. But you have shown me that forgiveness does not cancel justice, it transfers it. You are the righteous judge, and your justice is not delayed. It is deliberate. When I forgive, I am not excusing wrong, I am entrusting it to hands that know what healing looks like for everyone involved, even those who hurt me. That is not weakness, it is divine trust. Lord, teach me to bless those I forgive. Let my prayers for them be genuine, not grudging. Replace bitterness with compassion, anger with understanding. When I remember them, let my thoughts carry peace instead of pain. You have said that love your enemies is not a command to feel, but to act. It is to wish them light. Even when they walked in darkness toward me, I want to live that way. Unoffended, unburdened, untied from yesterday. God, forgiveness also stretches beyond people. It includes circumstances. There are moments I still wrestle with, seasons that felt unfair, losses that left me questioning your plan. Sometimes I need to forgive life itself, to release my anger at what was taken, delayed, or denied. But even in those places of confusion, you whisper that nothing was wasted. Every hardship was a doorway, every tear a seed of something sacred. To forgive the past is to trust that you were present in it, even when I could not see you. Father, I want to live light. Bitterness is too heavy to carry into the future you are preparing. So with open hands, I lay it down, every wound, every word, every silent disappointment. I no longer want to be defined by what hurt me, but by how you healed me. Let my forgiveness be a river that flows without end, cleansing everything it touches, including me. Let me forgive quickly, bless easily, and remember gently. Lord, I think of how even on the cross, when pain and injustice reached their peak, you chose to forgive. Father, forgive them, you said, not after the hurt, but in the middle of it. That is divine love. That is the standard you set, not waiting for change before extending grace. I may never fully reach that perfection, but I can keep walking toward it. Every act of forgiveness brings me a little closer to the heart of heaven. The morning sunlight has grown warmer now, soft and golden, washing over everything it touches. It feels like a reflection of what forgiveness does. It turns darkness into something bright, something sacred. The world does not look different, but somehow I do. The weight is gone, replaced by quiet strength. My heart feels light again, ready for new love, new peace, new beginnings. So here I am, God, no longer clinging to what was, but opening my hands to what can be. Let my heart remain a sanctuary for mercy. Let forgiveness not just be something I do, but something I become. And as I step into this day, let every breath, every word, every act carry the fragrance of grace, the same grace that found me, forgave me, and taught me that freedom is never found in holding on, but in letting go. Father, as forgiveness settles gently into my heart like morning light after a storm, I begin to see that peace requires something deeper, still patience. Forgiveness opens the door to freedom, but patience teaches me how to walk through it without rushing. You are reminding me that the pace of grace is never hurried. It unfolds in quiet confidence, in the steady rhythm of trust that believes your timing is perfect, even when my waiting feels endless. Lord, patience is not something I was born with. My heart often beats faster than your will moves. I want answers before the lesson is complete, breakthroughs before the roots are strong. Yet you whisper that growth cannot be rushed, that the most beautiful things life bloom only when the season is right. I have tried to force fruit from branches still forming, and I have broken more than I built. Now I understand that waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. You are shaping me in the in-between, refining my strength in the silence. God, it is hard to wait when the world moves quickly. Everything around me praises speed, quick success, instant solutions, immediate gratification. But you call me to a different rhythm, one that flows slower but deeper. Patience is not passive. It is active endurance, a steady holding on to faith when nothing seems to change. It is the quiet declaration that you are working, even when I see no sign. Help me remember that every delay has a divine purpose, even when the reason is hidden from me. Father, sometimes patience means waiting for promises to unfold. There are dreams you have planted within me that seem dormant, prayers that have lingered unanswered for years. I confess that I have questioned whether you have forgotten me, but each time I lift my eyes, I see how you have used time to mature me. I was not ready then for what I prayed for, but you have been preparing both me and the promise. The waiting is not wasted, it is the womb of wisdom. You are not denying me, you are developing me. Lord, patience is also about enduring difficulty with grace. It is easy to be kind when the path is smooth, but true patience is tested in adversity. When storms arise and people misunderstand, when progress slows and plans crumble, patience is what steadies my spirit. It anchors me when emotions want to take over. Teach me not to react in haste, not to speak from frustration, but to rest in your peace before I respond. Let my words carry the weight of wisdom, not the sting of impatience. God, you are patient with me every day. You watch me stumble and still call me forward with love. You wait for me to return each time I wander. Your mercy never rushes. It simply remains. If you, the creator of time, choose to wait for me with such tenderness, how can I not learn to wait on you? Patience, I see now, is a reflection of your nature. It is divine love expressed through endurance. When I am patient, I am most like you, gentle, steady, faithful. Father, help me to be patient with people too. Every soul walks at its own pace, and not everyone will see or understand life the way I do. Let me remember that others are learning, just as I am. Instead of demanding change, help me extend grace. Instead of expecting perfection, help me celebrate progress. When someone's growth feels slow, remind me how many seasons it took for me to become who I am today. Let patience make my love deeper and my compassion wider. Lord, patience also asks me to trust that waiting does not mean wasting. Sometimes I fear that time is slipping away, that I am falling behind. But you remind me that your timeline is not measured by human clocks. You move outside of time, orchestrating everything with purpose. What looks like delay is often protection. What feels like silence is sometimes your hand at work in hidden ways. When nothing seems to happen, something sacred is being formed beneath the surface. You are never late. You are always right on time. God, there are days when my patience runs thin, when discouragement whispers that nothing will ever change, when exhaustion makes surrender feel easier than perseverance. In those moments, fill me with quiet strength. Let hope rise again like dawn after a long night. Help me to rest in your promise that those who wait on you will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. I do not need to understand the process. I only need to stay faithful in it. Father, patience is also learning to live fully in the present, instead of anxiously reaching for the future. Teach me to see the beauty of now, the lessons hidden in today, the grace flowing in small things. Waiting is not about doing nothing. It is about doing what matters while trusting what is yet unseen. Let my waiting be active, filled with prayer, gratitude, and quiet acts of faith. When my mind wanders toward worry, bring it back to wonder. Lord, I am learning that patience is love stretched across time. It is faith stretched across uncertainty. Is peace stretched across pain. It holds space for what you are forming and believes that the result will be worth the wait. It takes humility to wait without complaint, and courage to keep believing without visible proof. Give me both. Let me find rest not in what I can predict, but in who you are, constant, wise, unchanging. God, there is a sacred stillness that patience brings. It softens my striving and teaches me to breathe again. I no longer need to rush to prove myself or to chase what is not yet ready. The world's pace may scream hurry, but your voice whispers stay. Stay in faith. Stay in peace. Stay in my will. And I find that the longer I stay, the clearer I hear you. Father, as I look back, I can see the fruit of patience blooming quietly in places I once thought barren. The situations that once broke me have become the soil of strength. The prayers that seemed unanswered have matured into blessings far better than I imagined. The seasons I resented have become sacred because you were in them, shaping me through waiting. You were never absent. You were patient too. Now, as the morning light stretches across the horizon, I feel a calm assurance rise within me. I do not need to hurry into the day. I can walk at your pace, knowing that each step is guided, each delay is designed, each moment is meaningful. Patience is not about standing still, it is about moving with divine rhythm, neither ahead nor behind, but in perfect sync with grace. So here I stand, Lord, in the quiet of this morning, breathing deeply of your peace. Let patience continue its work in me until it becomes part of who I am. Let me wait with faith, endure with hope, and walk with serenity. And as I journey through this day, may my heart remain still enough to hear the soft heartbeat of heaven reminding me that everything beautiful takes time, and that in your time, all things will unfold exactly as they should. Lord, as patience takes root in my spirit, it blossoms into something gentler yet even more transformative: gratitude. The longer I walk in your rhythm, the more I realize that gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a perspective. It is how the soul learns to see. Where once I noticed what was missing, now I begin to see what has always been there, your quiet fingerprints on every detail of my life. Gratitude turns ordinary mornings into holy ground. Father, thankfulness does not erase hardship, but it changes how I move through it. When I focus on what is wrong, the world feels heavy. When I focus on what is right, even the smallest blessings become magnified. Gratitude does not ignore pain, it redeems it. It whispers, even this can be used for good. And I see now that a grateful heart does not wait for perfect conditions to give thanks. It thanks you in the middle of the mess, because it trusts that you are still working. God, it is humbling to realize how often I have rushed past blessings, disguised as ordinary moments: the sunlight through the window, the warmth of breath, the quiet companionship of someone who understands without words. These things do not shout for attention, but they hold the steady rhythm of grace. The more I notice, the more I find. Gratitude is multiplication in the language of the heart. The more I thank, the more reasons I discover to thank. Lord, there were times when I prayed for miracles and thought you were silent, yet later I saw that you had been answering in ways I could not recognize. You did not always remove the storm, but you gave me strength to stand within it. You did not always provide the outcome I imagined, but you always provided what I needed. Gratitude allows me to look back and see your faithfulness not as coincidence, but as orchestration. Every delay, every redirection, every not yet was mercy in disguise. Father, gratitude reshapes how I see people too. It teaches me to value the souls you have placed in my path, not for their perfection, but for their presence. I used to dwell on what others failed to give. Now I thank you for what they did offer. A word, a gesture, a moment of kindness that reached me just in time. Even those who hurt me have taught me something about resilience, about boundaries, about compassion. In the language of grace, even pain becomes a teacher. God, help me to make gratitude a habit, not a reaction. Let it rise each morning before worry has a chance to speak. Let it steady my heart before disappointment sets in. Let my first thought be not of what I lack, but of what I have: life, breath, love, purpose. The world may tempt me to chase more, to measure success by what I own, but gratitude reminds me that I already have enough because I have you. Lord, gratitude changes the way I speak. It softens my tone, lifts my perspective, and turns complaints into praise. It reminds me that words have power to wound or to heal, to darken or to brighten a room. When gratitude lives in my heart, it spills into my language. Conversations become lighter, not because circumstances are perfect, because my focus shifts from scarcity to sufficiency. You are enough, and therefore I am enough. Father, sometimes gratitude feels like resistance. In a world filled with fear and comparison, giving thanks is an act of rebellion. It is choosing to see light when darkness tries to dominate. It is declaring that joy still exists, that goodness still breathes, that hope still has a place in the human heart. When I thank you in advance for what I cannot yet see, I am planting faith in the soil of uncertainty. Gratitude becomes the song of the soul that refuses to give in to despair. God, teach me to thank you not only for the blessings I understand, but also for the ones I do not. There are seasons where gratitude feels unnatural, when loss leaves a hollow space, when prayers seem unanswered, when dreams collapse. Yet even then, there is something to hold on to. In the ashes of disappointment, gratitude whispers that love still remains. It reminds me that you are not finished, that endings in your hands are often beginnings in disguise. Lord, as I walk through each day, help me to practice gratitude in quiet ways. Let my hands express it through kindness, my eyes through compassion, my presence through peace. Gratitude is not confined to words. It is a posture of being. When I treat others with patience, when I give without expectation, when I listen without judgment, that too is thanksgiving. Gratitude lived out becomes grace made visible. Father, I want to see life through the lens of thankfulness. I want to wake up and see beauty even in imperfection, to find meaning in interruptions, purpose in routine, joy in small victories. Gratitude does not wait for mountaintops. It blooms in the valleys. It does not depend on abundance. It thrives in contentment. The more I thank you for what is, the less I crave what is not. My heart finds rest not in more possessions, but in deeper appreciation. God, when gratitude fills me, fear loses its grip, worry fades, because I remember how often you have come through for me before. Doubt softens, because I see evidence of your care everywhere I look. Gratitude turns my memory into an altar, a sacred place, where past blessings testify that future ones will come. It transforms life from a list of needs into a symphony of gifts. Lord, I think of how even your Son gave thanks before the miracle. He broke bread, lifted his eyes, and blessed it not after it multiplied, but before. That is what I want to learn, to thank you not only after the breakthrough, but before it, trusting that gratitude is what opens the door for grace to flow. Father, as the light of morning grows stronger, I feel the calm certainty that thankfulness is the key to lasting peace. It quiets striving, it humbles pride, and it restores perspective. When my heart is grateful, there is no room for resentment or envy. Gratitude and bitterness cannot share the same space. One always drives the other out. Now, as this new day unfolds, I lift my heart once more not to ask, but to acknowledge, for the breath I breathe, for the strength to stand, for the unseen mercies that meet me every morning. Thank you. Let gratitude be my anchor in every storm, my compass in confusion, my song in silence. And as I step forward into today, may my life itself become an offering of thanks, a living echo of your goodness in the world. Let others feel peace in my presence, because gratitude has transformed me from within. For every sunrise, every lesson, every unseen grace, I give thanks not because everything is perfect, but because even in imperfection, you are here. And that is reason enough to be grateful. Father, as gratitude continues to unfold within me like sunlight, spreading across the morning sky, I feel you gently leading me into a deeper peace, the quiet joy of contentment. Gratitude opens my eyes to see your blessings, but contentment teaches my heart to rest in them. It whispers that I have enough because you are enough. In a world constantly urging me to chase what is next, contentment invites me to stay, to breathe, and to find joy in what already is. Lord, this peace does not come easily. My heart often drifts toward wanting more success, more affirmation, more certainty about tomorrow. The world calls it ambition, but sometimes it is simply restlessness dressed in purpose. Yet, you remind me that chasing endlessly leaves the soul empty. True fulfillment is not found in accumulation, but in appreciation. Not in the expansion of possessions, but in the enlargement of perspective. Teach me, God, to live not from a place of lacking, but from the overflow of being loved. God, contentment is not complacency. It is confidence in your plan. It is not the death of dreams, but the maturity of trust. I can still desire growth while remaining at peace with the pace you set. You are the author of time and seasons, and each one carries meaning, even the pauses. I want to embrace life without comparing, to pursue excellence without envy, to strive without striving against your will. When I rest in contentment, I am no longer competing with others. I am cooperating with you. Father, there is beauty in simplicity. You teach me that life's truest richness is often hidden in the plain, the quiet, the everyday, the laughter of someone I love, the gentle rhythm of rain against the window, the stillness before dawn. These are treasures money cannot buy. Contentment is not built by addition, but by subtraction. It grows as I release what I never needed to hold. When I unclench my hands, I find they are already full of blessings I had overlooked. Lord, there was a time when I thought happiness depended on circumstances. I measured peace by what I achieved, by who stayed or left, by how things turned out. But now I see that joy anchored in circumstance is fragile. The moment something changes, it cracks. Contentment, however, is unshakable because it is rooted in you, not in outcomes. It survives loss, disappointment, and delay. It thrives even in uncertainty because it trusts that your presence is enough to satisfy every longing. God, The world constantly whispers that I should want more recognition, more comfort, more control, but each more only deepens the hunger. The heart becomes restless not from lack, but from endless pursuit. Contentment breaks that cycle. It teaches me to say, "This is enough for now." It turns desire into gratitude and striving into stillness. When I learn to live with open hands, nothing owns me, not possessions, not ambitions, not fear. I belong to you, and that is my abundance. Father, sometimes contentment feels like surrender, and perhaps it is, but it is not the surrender of hope. It is the surrender of anxiety. It is the willingness to stop fighting what is and to find peace within it. It does not mean I give up dreaming. It means I trust the timing of those dreams. It does not mean I ignore hardship. It means I trust that even in hardship, there is hidden grace. When I rest in contentment, I no longer chase happiness, it finds me. Lord, help me to cultivate this peace daily. Let content grow like a garden within my soul, tended by gratitude, watered by trust, guarded by faith. Pull up the weeds of envy, pride, and fear before they choke joy. Teach me to live with a slower heart, one that lingers long enough to notice beauty instead of rushing past it. Let me delight in what I have while still believing for what is to come. God, contentment changes how I see others too. It frees me from comparison, from the endless measuring of worth. I can celebrate their victories without feeling diminished. I can admire their gifts without questioning mine. I can bless others without fear of losing something, because contentment whispers that love multiplies when shared. It teaches me that someone else's light does not dim my own. It only helps the world shine brighter. Father, you never meant for me to live in constant striving. You designed me to rest in your sufficiency. When you provide perfectly, not too little, not too late, not too much, just enough for the moment I am in. Each day carries its own portion of grace, and contentment helps me see it. I do not need tomorrow's blessings to live joyfully today. I only need to recognize the miracle of now, the air I breathe, the strength in my limbs, the love surrounding me even in small ways. Lord, I think of Paul's words about learning to be content in all things, whether in abundance or in lack, whether in comfort or hardship. That is not a lesson of circumstance, but of trust. It is a discipline of the soul to remain anchored when everything else shifts. Contentment is the deep assurance that you are with me in every state, that my peace does not depend on what I hold, but on who holds me, God. Sometimes I still struggle. There are moments when the ache of what I wish were true overshadows the joy of what is. But even then, you meet me in that place with gentle patience. You remind me that the future is not a threat. It is a promise unfolding. I can rest because you are already there, preparing what I cannot yet see. And so I breathe again, unclench my thoughts, and return to the stillness of trust. Father, contentment does not mean the absence of dreams. It means the presence of peace while waiting for them. It is standing in today without being haunted by yesterday or consumed by tomorrow. It is knowing that joy can live even in the middle, even before the arrival, even when nothing looks extraordinary. You are the source of that joy, and as long as you remain, so does my peace. Lord, as the morning stretches further into light, I feel an ease in my spirit, a steady quiet that does not demand more of life, but welcomes it as it is. The world outside is waking, filled with motion and sound, but inside there is stillness. That stillness is sacred, for it is where I meet you most clearly. And I understand now, contentment is not something I must chase or earn. It is something I choose, moment by moment, breath by breath. So here I stand, God, not waiting for something grand to make me grateful, not waiting for change to feel blessed. I am enough because you are enough. Whatever today brings joy or struggle, gain or loss, I will receive it with open hands and a steady heart. Let contentment dwell in me so deeply that no wind can shake it, no storm can drown it, no fear can steal it. And as this day unfolds, may the calm of contentment become my offering to the world, a quiet light, a gentle reminder that peace is possible not because everything is perfect, but because you are present. And that is more than enough. Lord, as contentment settles deeply into my soul, I begin to see another layer of peace unfolding, the courage to let go. It is one thing to find joy in what I have, but another to release what I once clung to with trembling hands. Letting go feels like loss, yet in your presence, it becomes liberation. You are teaching me that some things must leave, so that better things can live. Not every ending is a tragedy. Sometimes it is an answered prayer wearing unfamiliar clothes. Father, you know how tightly I hold on to what feels safe. I grip the familiar even when it hurts, afraid that releasing it means losing a part of myself. But you whisper that surrender is not defeat, it is trust. It is believing that I do not need to control everything to be secure. My peace does not depend on my grip, but on your grace. Teach me, God, to loosen my hold on what was never meant to be permanent. Some seasons end because they have fulfilled their purpose, and holding on beyond that point only creates pain. God, it is strange how even good things can become heavy when I refuse to let them change. Relationships, plans, identities, all of them can turn into burdens when I insist they remain the same. Yet you designed life to move, to evolve, to flow like a river. When I dam it up with fear, it loses its power to renew me. Letting go is not abandonment. It is alignment. It is stepping aside so that your current can carry me where I need to go next. Lord, I confess that I have tried to fix what you were asking me to release. I have prayed for doors to reopen when you were gently closing them. I have mourned seasons that were meant to pass, but now I understand that what you take, you replace with purpose. When you remove, it is never to leave me empty, but to prepare room for something better. Your pruning is painful, but it is never cruel. Each cut is made with care. Each loss is woven into the design of my growth. Father, letting go often begins with grief. There is no shame in the tears that come with surrender. You do not rush me through them. You sit with me in the ache until I can breathe again. And in that stillness, I begin to see what I feared losing was never truly mine. It was borrowed grace for a season. Everything I love belongs first to you. Every gift, every dream, Every person I cherish is a part of your plan, not my possession. To release them is to return them to their rightful place in your hands. God, help me to let go of resentment too. Unforgiveness is a weight that keeps my soul from rising. When I cling to what hurt me, I give power to pain instead of healing. But when I release it, you redeem it. The past cannot be rewritten, but it can be transformed. Help me to leave behind what no longer serves. Love old wounds. Old stories. Old expectations. Freedom begins where bitterness ends, and I want to walk lightly again. Lord, sometimes what I need to release is not people or things, but false beliefs about myself. The stories I tell in my own mind that I am not enough, that I am unworthy of love, that my mistakes define me. These are the hardest to let go of. Yet you call me by name, not by shame. You see not who I was, but who I am becoming. Teach me to drop the old labels I have worn for too long and to step into the identity you have written for me, beloved. Redeemed. Whole. Father, letting go does not mean forgetting. It means remembering differently. It is looking back without being bound, loving without clinging, grieving without despair. When I release the past, I make space for the present to bloom, and in that space, peace takes root. You are showing me that surrender is not the loss of control, it is the beginning of trust. It is the moment I realize that I was never meant to carry what only you can hold. God, even the dreams I once thought were sacred sometimes need to be laid down. Not because they were wrong, but because you are calling me into something new. Letting go of what I wanted allows me to receive what I need. The hardest part of faith is releasing a vision that once felt holy. Yet I know that you never waste what is surrendered. Every dream laid at your feet becomes a seed. In time, it will bloom again, different perhaps, but deeper, stronger, wiser. Lord, I want to trust that your hands are large enough to hold everything I release. The people I love, the plans I made, the fears I hide. You hold them all without dropping a single one. My letting go is not the end of care. It is the beginning of divine stewardship. You care for what I cannot, protect what I cannot see, and heal what I cannot reach. Every time I unclench my heart, you fill the empty space with peace. Father, letting go also means embracing uncertainty with faith. The unknown once terrified me, but now I begin to see its beauty. It is not a void, it is a canvas. You are already painting the next chapter of my story, even when I can't see the picture yet. My part is not to predict the outcome, but to trust the artist. You are weaving threads I cannot trace, but I know the design will be good because it flows from your hand. God, I release the need to understand every why and how. Faith was never meant to live in the certainty of answers, but in the assurance of your presence. I do not need to see the map when I walk with the one who made the path. I can let go of the questions that used to haunt me and rest in the simple truth that you are enough. The peace that follows surrender is unlike any other, is light, clean, and steady. Lord, I see now that letting go is not a single act, but a daily rhythm. Every morning, I will lay down what I cannot control, what I cannot change, what I cannot carry. Each sunrise is an invitation to start again lighter than the day before. The more I release, the freer I become, the less I cling, the closer I feel to you. This is not loss, it is the discovery of abundance hidden behind release. Father, as this morning unfolds, let my hands remain open, not clenched in fear, not grasping for what is fading, but open to receive what is new. Let every breath remind me that life itself is a gift meant to flow, not to be gripped. If you ask me to release something today, give me the grace to do so without resistance. Let me trust that what leaves makes room for what lasts. And as I move through this day, let peace follow every surrender. Let grace fill every empty space. And let love rise where fear once lived. I may not understand every reason for what changes, but I know the one who never does, and that knowing is enough to help me keep letting go again and again until freedom feels like home. Lord, after learning to let go, my heart feels lighter, yet it also trembles in the quiet that follows. When I release what once filled my hands, there is space and open silence that both comforts and unsettles me. It is here, in this stillness, that I begin to understand that true strength is not found in motion, but in surrender. You are not only in the winds that move mountains, but in the whisper that calms the soul. The world glorifies action, noise, and speed, but you dwell in the pauses, the spaces between, the unseen moments where transformation quietly unfolds. Father, stillness is not easy for me. My thoughts scatter like leaves in the wind, chasing every worry and unfinished task. I am used to measuring my worth by what I do, by the things I fix, by the progress I make, yet you invite me to simply be, to rest, to breathe, to listen. It feels unnatural at first, as though stopping might mean falling behind. But in your presence, I realize that stillness is not the absence of life, it is where life regains its rhythm. It is the sacred pause where I remember who I am and who you are, God. The noise of the world can drown out the sound of your voice, the constant hum of expectations, the clamor of opinions, the restless scroll of distractions. All of it builds walls around my spirit. But when I choose stillness, those walls begin to crumble. In silence, I start to hear again, not with my ears, but with my soul. The noise fades, and what remains is a steady truth. You have always been near. I was never alone, only too busy to notice. Lord, I see now that stillness is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in quiet confidence. It takes courage to sit in silence and face what I have been running from, to let the emotions surface, to listen to my own heart without judgment. Yet in that sacred vulnerability, you meet me. You do not demand eloquent prayers or perfect words. You only ask for honesty. And when I am honest, when I stop performing and start being, your peace finds me like light filtering through the cracks. Father, in stillness I discover how deeply dependent I am on you. The world tells me to be self-sufficient, to hold everything together, to never falter. But here in your presence, I realize that my strength has always come from you. It is not in pretending to be strong, but in admitting my need, that I become resilient. Stillness reminds me that I am not the center of control. You are. And that realization is not a loss of power, but the return of peace. God, help me to stop confusing business with purpose. There are days when I fill every moment just to avoid facing the H within. I run from silence because it feels like a mirror reflecting everything I fear. But when I stay, when I linger in your stillness, I see that what I called emptiness is actually fullness waiting to be revealed. It is not loneliness, it is invitation. It is not punishment, it is preparation. In stillness, you reshape my heart to receive what movement could never teach. Lord, I remember how even your Son withdrew to quiet places. He stepped away from crowds not out of fatigue, but out of wisdom. He understood that power without peace becomes hollow, that strength without stillness burns out. Teach me that same rhythm. Father, the holy balance between doing and being, between pouring out and filling up. When I learn to rest in you, my work becomes worship. Not striving, my pauses become prayers. Father, stillness also exposes truth. It reveals what really matters when the noise fades. It shows me that so much of what I chase holds no lasting weight. Titles, possessions, applause, they shimmer like mirages in the desert. But love, kindness, faith, these remain. In stillness, I see that the most sacred things in life are often the simplest. A quiet heart, a grateful spirit, a steady faith that does not crumble with change. You strip away the excess, leaving only what is eternal. God, there are moments when the silence feels long, almost unbearable. The waiting stretches, and I wonder if you hear me. But even in those quiet spaces, you are working. Seeds sprout beneath the soil where no one can see. Rivers carve canyons slowly, invisibly. So it is with your plans in me. What seems like stillness is actually creation's heartbeat, slow, deliberate, precise. I am learning to trust that the quiet seasons are not wasted. They are where roots grow deep. Lord, when the noise of fear rises, teach me to return to this inner sanctuary. Let me breathe deeply and remember that stillness is not passive, it is powerful. It is the birthplace of wisdom and clarity. When I am still, I stop reacting and start discerning. I begin to sense your direction not through chaos, but through calm. The world may demand constant motion, but your spirit leads through peace, never through panic. Father, I have spent so much of life trying to prove my worth through action. But here, in stillness, I see that I was worthy before I ever began. I was loved before I ever achieved. I was seen before I ever spoke. This truth humbles me and frees me. I do not have to earn your attention. I only have to turn toward it. And in that turning, I find rest. The stillness becomes sacred because it reminds me that I am already enough. God, even nature mirrors this rhythm. The ocean is strongest in its calm depths, not in its crashing waves. The trees grow silently, their roots working unseen. The dawn does not shout, it simply arrives, bringing light. Teach me to live like that, to move quietly but powerfully, to trust the unseen growth. to be patient with the pace of grace. Let my strength come not from noise, but from nearness to you. Lord, stillness does not mean I stop living. It means I live more intentionally. I speak with purpose, act with clarity, and love without hurry. When my soul rests in stillness, everything I do flows from peace instead of pressure. The world around me might continue to spin in chaos, but within me there is a center that remains unmoved, because you dwell there. Father, as the day continues to unfold, let me carry this stillness with me. Let it become a quiet strength that guides my tone, my thoughts, my choices. When conflict comes, let silence answer before anger. When uncertainty rises, let calm lead before fear. When opportunity knocks, let discernment speak before impulse. Stillness is not about standing still. It is about standing firm in peace. And as I walk forward into the noise of the world, let me remember that silence is not empty, is filled with your presence. Every breath I take in quiet trust becomes a prayer. Every pause between words becomes a doorway to wisdom. Let this peace be my anchor, not only in mornings like this, but in every storm to come, because strength built in stillness never fades. It endures. It uplifts. It transforms. And in that stillness, I will always find you waiting steady, patient, eternal. Father, from the stillness you have taught me, I now understand that peace is not meant to make me passive. It is the foundation from which strength rises. From silence grows endurance, and from rest comes resilience. The quiet you built within me is not emptiness, it is preparation for the fire that must come. I feel you stirring something new inside my heart, the courage to keep moving forward, even when the path is long, steep, and unseen. Perseverance is not the absence of struggle. It is the decision to keep walking through it with unwavering trust. Lord, there are days when my soul feels weary, when the weight of life presses down like an invisible mountain. The plans I once believed would unfold easily have stretched into seasons of waiting. Prayers whispered in faith sometimes echo back in silence. Yet in that waiting, you have been shaping something deeper than success character. You remind me that endurance is not built in comfort, but in pressure, not in abundance, but in dependence. Every hardship has become an anvil upon which you forge courage within me. God, perseverance is not a sprint. It is the slow rhythm of faith that refuses to quit. It is the heartbeat of those who trust your timing more than their timeline. There have been moments when I wanted to turn away, to retreat into ease, but something in me knew that growth does not happen in retreat, it happens in resistance. Every trial becomes a teacher, and every setback becomes soil for something greater. Through each season of struggle, you are proving that strength born in faith is unbreakable. Father, sometimes perseverance looks nothing like victory. It looks like showing up when nothing changes. It looks like kindness in the face of indifference, faith when there are no visible signs, and love when it costs something. The world measures progress by results, but you measure it by endurance. You see the quiet battles fought in secret, the prayers whispered through tears, the choices made to forgive, to stay, to believe again. That is where real faith lives, not in the absence of storms, but in the decision to stand within them. Lord, I confess that perseverance often hurts. It stretches me beyond comfort, asking me to trust when I cannot see the next step. But you never promised an easy road, only a meaningful one. You promised presence, not predictability. So I choose to keep walking, one step at a time, knowing that you walk beside me, even when I can feel your hand. The fire that tests me is the same fire that refines me. What once threatened to consume now purifies, revealing the gold beneath the ashes. God, sometimes perseverance means holding on. Other times, it means letting go. There is strength in both. Holding on to faith when doubt whispers is courage. Letting go of what no longer serves your purpose is wisdom. You teach me that endurance is not about stubbornness, it is about alignment. It is continuing in the direction of peace, even when it leads through valleys. And when my legs grow tired, you remind me that it is okay to pause, to rest, to breathe. Perseverance is not perfection. It is persistence anchored in grace. Father, I look back and see how far you have brought me. The seasons I thought would break me have become proof of your faithfulness. Every scar tells a story of survival, of grace that carried me when strength failed. What I once called failure now looks like formation. What I once called loss now looks like redirection. Through endurance, you have not only changed my path, you have changed me. And perhaps that was always your plan, not to deliver me from every trial, but to develop me through it. Lord, help me to persevere with humility. I do not want to push forward out of pride or fear of failure, but out of faith in your purpose. Give me eyes that see beyond the temporary pain, that look toward the eternal prize of peace, wisdom, and love. Let my persistence be gentle yet firm, like a river carving through stone, not through force but through patience. I do not need to control the pace of my progress. I only need to remain faithful in the flow of your timing. God, I think of those who persevered before me, souls who walked through darkness but kept their lamps burning. They remind me that endurance is not about personal power, but about divine partnership. When I walk with you, even the impossible becomes possible. The burden may feel heavy, but your strength beneath it makes it light. The race may be long, but your presence makes it holy. I do not endure alone. Every step is accompanied by unseen grace. Every breath supported by eternal love. Father, perseverance also means believing what I cannot yet see. Hope is not blind optimism, it is faith that keeps its eyes open even in the dark. You are the light that keeps me moving when everything else fades. When I am tempted to stop believing, remind me of the countless mornings when the night eventually gave way. The sun always rises not because of my effort, but because you are faithful. The same God who brings dawn after every night will also bring purpose after every trial. Lord, I no longer pray for an easy path. I pray for endurance on the right one. I do not ask for fewer challenges, but for greater faith to walk through them with grace. Let perseverance become my offering to you, a quiet, steady act of worship that declares, I trust you still. Let my consistency speak louder than my words, my faith outlast my fear, my obedience outweigh my confusion. Even when I stumble, help me to rise again not in pride, but in gratitude for your unending patience. God, teach me to find joy in the process, not just in the outcome. Let me celebrate progress even when it is small, victories even when they are unseen. Perseverance is not about chasing perfection, but about remaining faithful in the pursuit. Every step forward, no matter how small, honors you. Every moment I choose to keep believing, to keep loving, to keep forgiving, becomes an act of divine strength. Father, the fire of perseverance burns quietly now, not wild, not consuming, but steady. It is a light that will not go out, even in the wind. The storms that once terrified me now remind me of how deeply rooted I have become. I am learning that faith is not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk through fear with trust. And as I do, I see how perseverance transforms pain into purpose, struggle into strength, waiting into worship. So, Lord, as I step into this new day, let my endurance be gentle but unbreakable. Let my faith remain calm but fierce. Let my spirit burn bright not for recognition, but for love. And when I grow tired again, remind me that perseverance is not about how far I can go on my own, but how deeply I can lean into you. For you are the fire that never fades, the strength that never fails, the hope that always endures. Lord, from the fire of perseverance comes another gentle revelation healing. The endurance you have built within me begins to make space for something softer, yet far more powerful. Forgiveness. After all the battles fought within my own heart, I realize that strength alone cannot carry me to peace. Only forgiveness can. It is the bridge between pain and freedom, the key that opens the last locked door of the soul. I feel you inviting me now, Father, to step into that sacred light where bitterness dissolves and love becomes whole again. Father, forgiveness is not an instant decision. It is a slow unraveling of wounds. There are scars I thought had faded, only to find they still ache when touched. There are faces and memories that rise in the quiet hours, reminding me of words unhealed and moments unresolved. Yet you whisper that forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about releasing. It does not rewrite the past, but reclaims the heart that was trapped inside it. It allows me to breathe again, without the weight of yesterday pressing down. God, it is easier to speak of forgiveness than to practice it. Sometimes my pain argues with my faith, insisting that justice must come first. But your love does not work like the world's justice. It redeems where vengeance would destroy. It restores where punishment would divide. You do not erase consequences, but you heal hearts so they no longer need to inflict more pain. Teach me, Lord, that forgiveness does not excuse the wrong. It releases the soul from being chained to it. Lord, help me to remember that forgiveness is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, because it chooses mercy in a world addicted to retaliation. It takes more courage to bless than to curse, more faith to release than to resent. When I forgive, I do not lose power, I reclaim it. I am no longer bound by what someone did to me. I am bound to what you are doing through me. That shift changes everything. The wound becomes a testimony instead of a weapon, and pain becomes purpose reborn in love. Father, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is myself. I look back and see the things I should have said, the choices I should have made differently, the moments I let fear lead instead of faith. Guilt creeps in quietly, disguising itself as responsibility. But you remind me that remorse has a purpose only if it leads to redemption. Shame serves no holy end. If you, the creator of all things, can forgive me completely, who am I to withhold that grace from myself? You are teaching me to accept what you have already released. God, forgiveness is not a one-time act, but a daily practice. Some days, the hurt feels far away. Other days, it resurfaces unexpectedly. Yet every time it does, I can meet it with grace instead of anger. Forgiveness becomes a rhythm, like breathing. Inhale the pain, exhale the release. It is not about erasing memory, but about transforming it. The same memories that once cut now remind me of how far you have carried me, how much I have healed, and how deeply I have grown in compassion. Lord, teach me to forgive even when the other person never apologizes. Help me to see that my freedom does not depend on their remorse, but on my decision to let go. Forgiveness is not a transaction, it is an act of liberation. When I release someone, I am not declaring them innocent. I am declaring myself free. I am no longer waiting for closure. I am walking in peace. The apology I may never receive is replaced by the serenity that comes from surrendering justice into your hands. Father, I also ask for the humility to seek forgiveness from others. There are times I have wounded without realizing it, times my words have cut deeper than I knew. Help me to make peace where I can, to own my part without defensiveness or pride. Let my apology be sincere, not as an attempt to erase guilt, but as a bridge to rebuild trust. Forgiveness, after all, is not only a gift we receive, but a gift we give away. God, when I think of your Son on the cross, I see the purest form of forgiveness. Betrayed, humiliated, abandoned, yet his words were not of bitterness, but of mercy. Father, forgive them. That moment redefined love forever. If such grace could flow in the face of such cruelty, then surely I can forgive in the face of smaller wounds. Teach me to love as he loved, not selectively, but completely. Let forgiveness flow through me, not just toward those I care for, but toward those I struggle to understand. Lord, forgiveness does not mean I must return to what was toxic. It means I can wish others well even from a distance. It means I can release the anger without erasing the wisdom that pain taught me. Boundaries and grace can coexist. I can move forward wiser, not harder. Healed, not closed off. You do not ask me to be naive, only to be free. And freedom is what forgiveness truly is, a soul unchained, walking lightly again. Father, forgiveness heals more than relationships. It heals the heart itself. I feel the difference in my breath when I let go, in my thoughts when I stop rehearsing pain. The world seems lighter, colors brighter, peace more tangible. Bitterness tightens the chest, but grace expands it. Every time I choose to release anger, my spirit becomes more open to love. Forgiveness is the oxygen of the soul. It revives everything it touches. God, Help me to extend forgiveness even toward life itself. Sometimes I hold silent resentment against the things I cannot control, the losses, the delays, the unanswered prayers. Yet you remind me that life is not punishing me. It is shaping me. Everything that has happened was either allowed by you or redeemed by you. There is nothing wasted in your design. When I forgive life, I stop resisting what is and start cooperating with what can be. That is the moment peace returns. Lord, let forgiveness become my language. Let it color how I speak, how I think, how I respond. When others lash out, let my words carry softness. When old wounds whisper lies, let my heart echo truth. Let every moment of grace I receive overflow into grace I give. The more I forgive, the more I resemble you, and that is the truest form of healing. Father, as morning light spreads across the earth, I feel the warmth of your mercy settle in my spirit. I realize that forgiveness is not something I give once, but something I become. It is not only what I do, it is who I am when love triumphs over pain. Every act of forgiveness makes the world a little lighter, my heart a little freer, and your presence a little nearer. So, Lord, let this day be a living testament to grace. Let every step I take be free from resentment, every breath filled with peace, every thought anchored in love. I do not walk in the shadow of what hurt me. I walk in the light of what healed me, and in that light I find you steady, gentle, everlasting, guiding me into freedom that no wound can ever steal again. Father, after forgiveness has softened my heart, what remains is a quiet openness, a deep surrender to something greater than my understanding. It is here, in the aftermath of release, that you teach me the meaning of trust. Forgiveness unties the knots of the past, but trust builds the bridge toward the future. It is not blind faith, it is anchored faith. It is not naive confidence, it is sacred courage. You are not asking me to know every answer, only to rest in the truth that you do. Lord, trusting you does not come naturally to me. My mind longs for control, for evidence, for certainty. I want to see how every thread will weave together before I step forward. Yet, you remind me that trust is not built on sight, but on relationship. I have seen enough of your faithfulness to know that what I cannot yet see is still good. When I remember how you have guided me through storms I once thought would drown me, I realize that every unknown path is just another opportunity to watch your wisdom unfold. God, trust is not passive waiting, it is active surrender. It is waking up each morning and choosing peace over panic. It is walking forward even when the map is hidden. It is saying, I do not know, but I know who does. And somehow, that is enough. I no longer need to control what happens next, because you already stand in tomorrow, shaping it with the same hands that have held me through every yesterday. The mystery no longer frightens me. It feels like a sacred invitation to believe deeper. Father, I used to think that trust meant everything would go my way, but now I see that it means everything will go your way, and that is far better. Your plans do not always align with my expectations, but they never lack purpose. What looks like detour is often direction. What feels like delay is often preparation. You are weaving details I cannot yet perceive, And every time I choose to trust instead of resist, I find peace in the waiting. Lord, there are moments when trust feels like free fall, when I have to release my grip and rely entirely on your unseen arms. It is terrifying and beautiful all at once. The mind screams for control, but the spirit whispers, "Be still." And in that stillness, I realize that you have never once failed to catch me. You have never abandoned me midair. You have never let a single fall end in ruin. Even my stumbles have landed in grace. God, trust teaches me to stop demanding explanations. The need to understand everything was the heaviest burden I carried. I used to ask why to every unanswered prayer, every heartbreak, every closed door. But you are teaching me to replace why with what now. Instead of analyzing, I begin to listen. Instead of fighting, I begin to flow. I realize that faith is not a contract for comfort. It is a covenant for transformation. You are less concerned with giving me all the answers than with shaping my heart to handle them when they come. Father, I see how trust transforms fear into peace. Fear says, "What if it goes wrong?" Trust replies, "Even if it does, I will still be okay." Fear imagines disaster. Trust remembers deliverance. Fear magnifies uncertainty. Trust magnifies grace. When I choose to rest in your sovereignty, the noise of worry fades into a deeper rhythm of calm. I stop trying to predict the outcome and start learning to be present in the process. You remind me that faith is not a shortcut, it is a steady walk through the valley with confidence that light will meet me on the other side. Lord, teach me to trust not only in you, but in the timing you choose. There is a sacred rhythm to your work, a divine pace that cannot be rushed. Every time I try to hurry you, I find myself exhausted. Every time I slow down to match your steps, peace returns. You are never late, though you rarely arrive early. You move precisely on time when both the circumstance and my heart are ready. Help me to remember that waiting is not punishment. It is preparation for promise. God, sometimes you build trust by removing the very things I thought I needed. When something I relied on falls away, you reveal that it was never my foundation you were. When the path I planned disappears, you open a new one I could never have imagined. The losses I once feared have become the very spaces where your strength shines brightest. What you take away, you always replace with something more eternal. Wisdom, compassion, perspective, peace. Father, trust is not only about the future, it is also about the present moment. I do not have to have it all figured out to live fully today. The breath I take right now is proof that you are sustaining me. The morning light spilling across the world is proof that you keep your promises. Life itself testifies to your constancy, even in silence. You are speaking, even in stillness. You are working. I only need to stay close enough to feel the pulse of your purpose moving quietly beneath the surface. Lord, sometimes trust means letting go of questions I may never get answers to. There are mysteries too deep for my understanding, hurts too vast for easy explanations. But you are not asking me to solve them. You are asking me to trust that you are redeeming them, even when life feels fragmented. You are piecing it together into something beautiful. I may not see the full picture yet, but you are the artist, and every color, even the dark ones, has its place. God, trust changes how I pray. I no longer ask for everything to go my way. I ask for the strength to stay in your way. I no longer seek clarity at all costs. I seek peace that surpasses understanding. I no longer treat faith as a bargaining tool, but as a living relationship. Trust turns prayer into conversation, not negotiation. It transforms waiting into worship and uncertainty into opportunity. Father, I am beginning to see that trust is not a destination, it is a posture. It is the steady gaze of the heart fixed on you no matter what surrounds it. It is the quiet confidence that even when I can trace your hand, I can trust your heart. Every sunrise that follows the darkest night is a reminder that you are faithful. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Lord, as this morning stretches into day, I carry with me the peace that comes from letting go of control. The world may still be unpredictable, but my heart no longer trembles. I have learned that trust is not built in moments of certainty. It is forged in the fires of doubt, where your presence becomes my only assurance. And in that space, I finally understand. I do not need to know the plan when I know the planner. So, God, as I walk into this day, let trust be my rhythm and faith be my song. Let every step be an act of surrender, every decision a reflection of peace. When I cannot see the road ahead, let me walk anyway, knowing you go before me. When fear whispers, let trust answer first. And as I move through all that is still unfolding, let me rest in the truth that nothing in your hands is ever uncertain, and no life placed in your care is ever lost. Father, as trust settles into the corners of my heart and guides my steps, you now call me into the deeper mystery of surrender. I have learned to release control, to let go of what I cannot change, and to walk in patience and forgiveness. Yet there is another layer, another depth, the power found in fully yielding my will to yours. Surrender is not weakness, Lord, but the ultimate strength, the moment when I stop clinging and begin to soar in the freedom you offer. Lord, I have spent so long trying to hold life in my hands, arranging it according to my understanding, planning each detail, and expecting certainty at every turn. But you remind me that life's beauty does not come from control. It comes from alignment with your purpose. When I surrender, I am not giving up. I am stepping into the stream of your wisdom and allowing it to carry me beyond what my own strength could ever achieve. There is a sacred trust in yielding, a quiet power in obedience that the world cannot measure. God, surrender requires humility. It asks me to acknowledge that I am not the center of the universe and that my plans, however well-meaning, are limited. My mind often wrestles with fear, thinking that letting go means losing something essential. Yet you show me that release does not bring loss. It brings clarity. When I release my grip on outcomes, I make room for your will to manifest in ways I could never anticipate. What I once clutched out of fear now flows into your hands, and I find freedom in the letting. Father, surrender is not passive resignation. It is an active decision to trust you completely. It is choosing to follow your guidance even when the path is uncertain, to remain faithful when nothing in the world confirms it, and to obey when I do not understand. The moment I stop resisting, Lord, is the moment I step into your rhythm. It is in that rhythm that I discover peace that surpasses understanding, courage that defies circumstances, and love that overcomes fear. Lord, there are areas of my life that I still cling to, the relationships, the dreams, the fears, and the familiar comforts. I confess that surrender is difficult in those spaces. My heart argues for control, and my mind wants assurance. But you remind me that the power of surrender is not in what I relinquish, but in whom I trust. When I yield my will to you, the impossible becomes possible. What seemed heavy becomes light. What seemed unclear becomes certain, and what seemed distant draws near. God, surrender also means accepting the unknown. I do not need to see the full picture to obey. I only need to trust the painter who holds the canvas. Every step I take in surrender is an act of faith, an acknowledgement that you see beyond what I can perceive, even when the road ahead twists into darkness. The light of your presence illuminates each moment. My surrender does not limit my journey, it enlarges it, expanding my perspective and allowing me to move beyond fear. Father, teach me to surrender daily, not just in grand moments of decision, but in the small, subtle choices that shape my heart. To surrender anger before it grows into resentment. To surrender pride before it blocks compassion. To surrender worry before it steals joy. Each time I yield, you are at work, transforming my obedience into grace, my release into freedom, my submission into strength. Surrender is the seed, and your Spirit makes it flourish. Lord, I see now that surrender is deeply connected to humility and gratitude. It is recognizing that every breath I take, every blessing I receive, every moment of strength is from you. I do not exist by my own power, and I do not achieve by my own hand. To surrender is to honor that truth fully, to live in awareness that you are the source of all life, wisdom, and hope. When I embrace this, fear loses its grip. Anxiety fades, and my heart rests in assurance. God, surrender can be scary because it asks me to step into trust without guarantees, but fear is only a shadow. It cannot exist in the light of your faithfulness. Every time I let go of control, I am reminded that you are sufficient. Every time I obey without knowing the outcome, I am reminded that you are wise. The power of surrender is not in my willingness, it is in your constancy. And that constancy is unwavering, eternal, and enough for every situation I face. Father, there are moments when surrender feels like loss of identity, but you show me it is the opposite. In yielding, I find the self you created me to be whole, strong, and guided by love. Surrender does not erase individuality, it enhances it, aligning my desires with your purposes, my will with your plan, and my heart with your heart. It allows me to become who I am meant to be, fully alive in your presence. Lord, help me to surrender fully, not only in action, but in spirit. Let every thought, word, and intention be offered to you. Let me stop wrestling with what cannot be changed and begin embracing the flow of your providence. Let me release attachment to outcomes, trusting that what you ordain is more beautiful than anything I could plan. Surrender transforms the ordinary into sacred, the struggle into growth, and the journey into worship. God, I pray that this surrender becomes a daily practice, a posture of the heart, a rhythm of the soul. When challenges arise, let me release them to you. When relationships falter, let me yield my expectations. When fear whispers, let me answer with trust. Each surrender, no matter how small, becomes a step toward freedom, a thread in the tapestry of peace you are weaving. Father, as the morning continues to unfold, let surrender guide my steps. May I walk lightly through this day, not clinging to outcomes, not grasping at certainty, but moving with the steady assurance that you are leading me. Let the power of surrender fill my heart so completely that nothing can shake it, nothing can disturb it, and nothing can take it away. And as I walk, let each breath be a reminder that yielding to you is the most powerful act of faith, the truest expression of love, and the surest path to peace. Father, after walking through the lessons of perseverance, trust, and surrender, I find myself drawn into a deeper stillness, the quiet, unwavering peace of your presence. All the struggles I have faced, all the moments of doubt, and all the lessons of release converge here, in this sacred awareness that you are with me. It is not a distant watching. It is a closeness that fills every corner of my heart, a warmth that rests in the depths of my soul. The world may continue to shift and change, but in you, there is constancy, a refuge I can stand in at any moment. Lord, I feel the weight of the morning lifting as I breathe in this peace. It is a peace that is not dependent on circumstance, not fragile like fleeting happiness, but enduring and true. In the quiet of your presence, my fears lose their grip. Worries that once consumed me become small and manageable, like leaves floating on a stream. The same God who carried me through trials carries me still, and that truth is steadying beyond words. I begin to see that true peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the awareness of you holding all things together. God, I reflect on how often I sought peace in activity, in control, in striving to manage every outcome. But you have shown me that peace is not found in doing. It is found in being. Being held, being known, being seen, being loved unconditionally by you. When I rest in your presence, I no longer need to prove myself, to justify my choices, or to carry burdens that were never mine to bear. The weight of expectation dissolves, leaving only a profound sense of rest and completeness. Father, your presence teaches me patience in ways that words cannot describe. In your nearness, I can wait without fear, move without anxiety, and hope without uncertainty. Even when life is unpredictable, the rhythm of your heart provides a steady cadence for my soul. I realize that peace is cultivated not in the absence of challenge, but in the full awareness that you are beside me in every challenge, guiding my steps and sheltering my spirit. Lord, I want to dwell in this presence constantly. I want to remember, in the rush of daily life, that you are here in the mundane and the miraculous alike, in the simple act of breathing, in the quiet conversation of morning, In the light spilling across the horizon, I see you. Your presence is not distant. It is intimate, personal, and immediate. And the more I notice, the more I find that my heart can rest, even amidst uncertainty. Because you are here, God, the peace of your presence also reshapes how I see the world. The chaos, the noise, the pain, all these do not have the final word, because you are present. What once seemed overwhelming is now manageable because I know I do not walk alone. You are my companion, my guide, my refuge. Even when the storms rage around me, I can feel the calm in the center. Because you inhabit it, your presence transforms fear into faith, confusion into clarity, and despair into hope. Father, I notice that in your presence, gratitude flows more naturally. I begin to see how many blessings surround me, visible and invisible. Every breath, every heartbeat, every sunrise, every act of love from others becomes a gift worthy of thanksgiving. In recognizing your presence in everything, my perspective shifts. I see abundance where I once saw lack, joy where I once saw challenge, and provision where I once saw scarcity. Your presence magnifies every blessing, transforming ordinary life into extraordinary grace. Lord, this peace also heals. It soothes the lingering aches of yesterday, the silent scars carried in my heart. Past wounds lose their power, old disappointments fade, and the fear of failure diminishes. Because in your presence I am secure, I am reminded that nothing in my life, no matter how broken, is beyond your redemptive power. You are present not only with the good and the beautiful, but also in the pain, the struggle, and the unanswered questions. That awareness restores my heart, steadies my spirit, and fills me with hope. God, I realize that your presence is not only a place of comfort, but also a source of courage. When challenges rise, I can face them with a calm assurance that comes from knowing I am not alone. Decisions become clearer, burdens become lighter, and the path forward becomes visible, not because obstacles have disappeared, but because I carry you with me. Your presence strengthens me to endure, to forgive, to love, and to act with wisdom and grace. Father, I notice how your presence invites me into intimacy. It is a stillness that is not lonely, a silence that is full, calm that speaks louder than any noise. Here, in your nearness, I can lay down every fear, every worry, every hesitation. I can speak openly, love deeply, and rest fully. Your presence is a sanctuary where my soul is understood, my heart is comforted, and my spirit is renewed. Lord, as I dwell in this awareness, I am reminded that presence is also relational. It calls me not only to receive, but also to reflect, to carry your peace into the world, to be a vessel of calm for others, to act with gentleness, patience, and understanding. The more I abide in your presence, the more it overflows into every interaction. Every decision, every moment of my day. Peace is not a solitary experience. It is meant to be shared, multiplied, and lived. God, in your presence I find freedom from judgment, my own and others. I no longer need to measure myself by impossible standards, nor do I need to measure the actions of others. I can rest in the assurance that you are just, merciful, and wise. I am freed to love without expectation, to serve without fatigue, to live without fear. The presence of God transforms the heart that fears into the heart that trusts. Father, I see now that your presence is also the source of creativity and insight. When I stop striving to control, I begin to notice inspiration flowing freely. Ideas arise, solutions appear, and clarity comes where confusion once held sway. Your nearness illuminates the mind and quickens the spirit. Even the mundane is transformed into a canvas for divine beauty when you are near. Lord, help me to carry this awareness throughout my day. Let it guide my thoughts, inform my choices, and anchor my emotions. When the pressures of life rise, remind me of the still center where you dwell. When I am tempted to worry, let your presence restore calm. When I face difficult decisions, let me hear your voice above the noise. In all things, may I remember that I am never without you. God, as this morning grows and the day unfolds, I feel a profound peace settle over me. It is steady, deep, and unshakable, born from the certainty that you are near. No matter what comes, your presence is my refuge. I am reminded that the power of God is not only in the miracles that change circumstances, but in the quiet, sustaining presence that changes the heart. So here I remain, Father, resting in your nearness. Let my life become a reflection of the peace I have found in you. Let my words, my actions, and my heart carry the calm, steady assurance that comes from abiding in divine presence. May your light shine through me, not for recognition, but as a testament that where God is, there is peace, there is strength, and there is unfailing love. Father, as this journey of prayer draws to its gentle close, I feel the culmination of all that you have been teaching me, the lessons of trust, surrender, patience, forgiveness, perseverance, and presence folding into a single, quiet peace. Every breath I have taken in these moments has been an offering. Every thought lifted has been a step closer to you. I realize that prayer is not a series of requests, but a living conversation, a sacred unfolding in which my heart learns to align with yours. Today, I stand not at the end of this journey, but at the threshold of everything new you have prepared, ready to step forward with a soul renewed and a spirit awake. Lord, through these hours of reflection, I have encountered the places in my heart that longed for comfort, that trembled in uncertainty, and that wrestled with fear. You have met each fragment with gentle care, drawing me out of doubt and into confidence. I see now that the strength I sought externally was always meant to be found in your presence. The quiet victories, the subtle shifts, and the gentle reminders that you are faithful have revealed a deeper layer of my spirit, one that rests even in waiting, hopes even in silence, and loves even when it is not returned. God, the lessons of surrender have shaped me profoundly. I understand that releasing control is not yielding weakness, but discovering the freedom that comes when I entrust all outcomes to you. Each moment of letting go has been like a river flowing from my heart into yours, carrying the weight of worry, expectation, and fear. In this current, I have discovered a clarity I could not have gained through striving alone. Your wisdom, steady and unseen, has taught me that what is surrendered in faith is returned in joy, sometimes in ways I cannot comprehend, but that unfold perfectly in your timing. Father, patience has rooted itself deeply within me. The practice of waiting without despair, of hoping without proof, has built a resilience that is quiet yet enduring. The seasons I once resisted, the pauses I once resented, and the delays I once feared have all become teachers of grace. I see now that you are never absent, and even in silence, you are working, weaving together the moments of my life into a tapestry of purpose. Each step I have taken in faith has brought me closer to the rhythm of your heart, and I am learning to move in alignment with it. Lord, forgiveness has softened the places in me that once hardened under resentment and pride by releasing the burdens of past hurt. I have been freed to receive your love more fully, to extend mercy without hesitation, and to live with a heart unburdened. Forgiveness has proven to be not only a gift to others, but a profound grace that restores me. Every wound left behind has become a doorway to deeper compassion and understanding, teaching me that healing comes not from erasing memory, but from transforming it through love. God, gratitude has opened my eyes to the countless blessings I once overlooked. Every breath, every moment, every small gesture of love is a testament to your care and provision. Gratitude has multiplied within me, turning ordinary days into sacred encounters and transforming the mundane into a reflection of your presence. I see now that abundance is not measured by what I possess, but by how fully I recognize your hand at work in my life. Each acknowledgement of your grace strengthens my spirit and deepens my joy. Father, contentment has brought me the quiet assurance that I am enough because you are enough. In letting go of comparison, longing, and fear, I have discovered a freedom that the world cannot give. I am learning to rejoice in the sufficiency of today, to embrace the gifts before me, and to trust the unfolding of all that is to come. Contentment has revealed that happiness is not found in accumulation, but in alignment, not in perfection, but in the awareness of your sustaining presence. Lord, through perseverance and trust, I have learned the power of steadfast faith. Each step I have taken in obedience, even when uncertainty loomed, has been met with your sustaining grace. Trusting you has taught me to rest in the knowledge that your wisdom surpasses my understanding, that your timing is perfect, and that your love is unwavering. The courage to continue, even when the path is unclear, has become a living testament to the strength that flows from relying on you, God. Surrender has shown me that true freedom comes not from holding tightly to what I think I need, but from yielding to your will. The act of surrender has opened my heart to your guidance, deepened my peace, and strengthened my faith. Each release of fear, expectation, or control has been a step into liberation, revealing that obedience and trust are inseparable companions on the path toward wholeness. Father, as I sit in the quiet of this final hour of prayer, I feel the gentle light of dawn spilling across the horizon, bathing the world in soft golden hues. It is a reminder of your constancy, a visual hymn of hope, and a promise of new beginnings. Just as the sun rises without hesitation, so too do you renew my spirit, gently awakening faith, joy, and peace within me. This light carries the sense that every day is a gift, each breath an opportunity, and every moment a chance to live fully in your love. Lord, I want to carry this presence forward into all my hours to walk, speak, and act in alignment with your will, to allow the lessons of patience, trust, forgiveness, contentment, and surrender to guide my steps. Let the calm and assurance I have found here ripple outward, touching others with your love, bringing light to darkness and peace to restless hearts. Let the quiet strength of this dawn remain within me as a constant companion, anchoring me when the world grows loud and life feels uncertain. God, I thank you for this time, for the journey of reflection, for the moments of insight and clarity. Thank you for meeting me in each chapter, for shaping my heart, and for showing me your faithfulness. I am grateful for every whisper of guidance, every breath of peace, every reminder of your love. And as I rise to step into the day, I carry this awareness with me, ready to live in the light of your presence. Father, to those who have accompanied me in spirit through this prayer, I extend gratitude and encouragement. May you feel the gentle touch of your own divine presence, the awakening of hope, and the assurance that each day holds possibilities to walk in faith. Please share the reflection of this prayer with others, allowing the ripple of peace to spread. Let us continue to nurture our connection with you daily, letting faith guide our actions, love shape our hearts, and hope illuminate every path we take. As the first rays of morning light dance across the landscape and the air carries a gentle freshness, I feel the quiet affirmation of your nearness. Each flutter of wind, each soft shimmer of light on the water, whispers that life is moving forward, filled with grace, promise, and the potential of new beginnings. And in this sacred awareness, I rest, breathing in your presence, stepping lightly into the day, and carrying the lasting echo of hope, trust, and peace. Thank you, beloved friend, for joining in this journey of reflection and prayer. I invite you to share your thoughts, your feelings, and your own moments of communion with the divine below. Continue to nurture your spirit each day, letting this light guide, comfort, and sustain you as you move forward. And may you walk in the gentle dawn of every new day, knowing that faith, love, and peace will accompany you always.